Tau, telling 702 yesterday that there has been no breakthrough to halt the duty despite diplomatic talks.
The reality is, yes, there are issues that the US has continued to raise with us. And yes, we have committed to engage with them. As I said, Minister Lamula was there this week. But we also have to deal with the reality that on the trade issues, we're part of many that are dealing with similar situations.
Some economists believe the Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has less wiggle room to further cut the repo rate in the last two meetings of the year. The MPC yesterday cut the central bank's benchmark policy rate by 25 basis points in the July meeting to 7%. The prime lending rate for commercial banks now sits at 10.5%. Nokayam Dambo reports.
The 25 basis point cut in the latest meeting wasn't unexpected. What did come as a surprise was the central bank's unilateral decision to move its inflation target to the lower end of its 3 to 6% target band. Reserve Bank Governor Johannesburg.
We have an opportunity now to lock in low inflation and clear the way for sustainably lower interest rates.
The lower inflation is likely to reduce the average interest rate over time, bringing the cost of borrowing down. Economics professor at the Northwest University Business School, Raymond Parsons, says whether there can be further interest rate cuts this year is now highly uncertain. Economists at Nedbank say future rate moves will, in addition to the usual economic developments, be influenced by progress in maintaining inflation around 3%, where the 4.5% inflation target scenario saw no room for further cuts in this cycle. Nogukanyam Dambo, Eyewitness News.
An order by the Constitutional Court dismissing the MK Party's urgent application has paved the way for Professor Feroz Kachalia's swearing in as acting police minister. The court handed down a brief order yesterday denying the party and its leader, former President Jacob Zuma, direct access to the court. This means the MK Party would have to approach the High Court in its bid to stop Kachalia's appointment and set aside Police Minister Senzo Mkunu's suspension. Khumuzo Modise has more.
The MK Party says the Constitutional Court ruling denying it direct access shows that the president enjoys the undue privilege of protection by the judiciary and has been repeatedly shielded by the courts. Spokesperson Ndlamulo Ndlela.
Because this court is now no longer, and this judiciary is no longer a judiciary for the people, as we've said, and as Mkhwanazi has said, they are implicated, especially because they're trying to push for a judicial commission of inquiry. I mean, you would have heard.
The Apex Court ruled that the application does not engage the court's jurisdiction and no case has been made out for direct access. While the MK Party has legal recourse in which they could approach the High Court on an urgent basis, they're racing against the clock as Professor Feroz Kachalia is set to assume office as Acting Minister of Police today. Khumuzo Modise, Eyewitness News at the Constitutional Court.
And at least 7 people have died in Guinea's capital, Conakry, due to heavy overnight rain. Several buildings collapsed during the downpour, trapping residents in floodwaters. The deaths added to a toll of 15, which the government previously gave this week from flooding that has gripped the country since the end of June. Gold is trading at $3,293.03 an ounce. The rand is trading at 18.21 to the dollar, 24.05 to the pound, 20.80 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $71.79 a barrel.
And in the traffic in Eldorado Park, we've got an accident on the N12 West. It's reported right near the Golden Highway. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout there while traveling on the very Golden Highway. More delays towards Meredale. This is due to the long-term roadworks taking place right after the N1 exit. Please be on the lookout there.
And in your sport, Keshav Maharaj and Nonkululeko Mlaba named Men's and Women's Cricketer of the Year. Maruba Galan fined for fielding an ineligible player but won't be docked any points. Peter Kutzer and Kayleen Corbett going for gold at the World Swimming Champs this afternoon. Max Verstappen staying at Red Bull next season.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng today. Johannesburg starting at 7 degrees, peaking at 19. Pretoria 9 and 21. Vereeniging 4 and 17 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. US President Donald Trump has signed an executive order reimposing sweeping tariffs on imports from dozens of countries.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock. Welcome to 702 Breakfast on this first day of August, the year of our Lord, 2025. Welcome one, welcome all. You are listening to 702 Breakfast. My name indeed is Bongani Bingwa. Where are you? Are you in Guatemala? Recha Park? Isando? Germiston? Tsakane? Sebokeng? Khutsong? Mohlakeng? Brakpan? Doesn't matter. Wherever you are. You might be about to jump into the shower. You've just switched on your radio. You're making your first cup of tea. Or do you need coffee to get going in the morning? Maybe you're on your way back from gym. Or you're already on your way to the office. Maybe you're off to a long weekend. Is it a dirty one? It doesn't matter. We are here to let you know what's going on in the world. We'll tell you why it's important and how it will impact you. Wherever you are, of course, we want you to be our eyes and ears around 702 land. How's everyone doing? Feeling good? Ready to go? I'm not alone. The entire team is with me. Amuramila, Muteo Hwaripe, Clive is here, Papelile, KG, Garabo, Cindy, Sfiso. It's a show.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
But of course, tradition demands that we do what we always do at about this time on a Friday. So I'm quickly going to have a sip of my concoction.
Why did I see that coming?
You know what's in my concoction?
Mm-hmm.
It's ginger, it's lemon, it's honey, it's
Garlic.
it is citrus fruit, it is, so that could be grapefruit, it could be oranges, it could be nachis, it could be lemons, whatever is available. It has black pepper, it has cayenne pepper, and it's got a little bit of honey. What I do is I freeze it in ice blocks. So I make this concoction maybe once a month. I freeze it in ice blocks, and every morning I take 2, put them in my small little cup, and then when I get to the office, add in some hot water. And that's why the voice sounds the way that it does. Here we go. A one, 2, 3. It's a Friday. It's a Friday. It's a Friday.
I'm not sure about your sip, eh? That note was not the one.
Alma decided to stay out of it.
I did. I sang. I said,
sing?
yeah. You
Were you
didn't hear
humming?
me.
Were you humming?
No, I wanted to come in the end and say, it's a Friday.
No. Alma was like, I'm on YouTube now.
I'm not doing this.
People can see me. We are, of course, coming to you live from our Santon studios. You can check out what happens behind the scenes, the madness of the show. And let me be clear, this is a radio show. Right? So you'll see people walking up and down with pieces of paper. You'll see us making all kinds of gestures because it's a radio show that happens to be, quote unquote, now televised. It's not a television show. It's a radio show. So excuse us if we don't look all that fashionable.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
10 after 6. All right, what's on our menu today? We catch up with Tsidi Madia with the Political Desk. She is, of course, the Associate Political Editor at EWN, and we're going to look at the major political stories of the week, including, of course, what happened at the Constitutional Court, the battle of the president. That's certainly something we have to delve into. But a real coup for us this morning. I'm really, really so pleased. We've got the outgoing Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga coming to talk to us as our big interview after 7 o'clock. Now, I've got to be clear, as you might expect, what's that phrase, what's that word that judicial officers use? It would be unbecoming for him to make mention of the work that he's about to assume, or in fact that he's already assumed, looking into the allegations made by General Ndlandla Mkhwanazi. So we'll stay clear of any conversation around that. But I do want to reflect on a stellar career on the bench. I want to know from him the significance of sustained attacks on the judiciary, and whether or not he is leaving the bench in good hands. Those are some of the questions we're going to speak to him. He is also, you may remember this because institutional memory matters. You may also remember he was the chief evidence leader in the Marikana Commission. We're coming up now, starting in August, to yet another anniversary of that massacre. I'm keen to know how he reflects on the work they did and what results it yielded.
Let's walk the talk.
7:02.
And then just before 9 o'clock, a really special treat. You'll know this show champions the arts. We want to speak to performers. We want to speak to actors, directors. We want to speak to musicians. And today we're doing something really, really special. We're speaking to a 15-year-old who has taken the continent by storm with his bouzouki skills. What's a bouzouki, you want to know? Tune in at about 10 to 9. He will be live with us in studio, so you'll be able to see the instrument yourself, and he'll tell us about the fantastic journey he is about to embark on.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
So here's a question. Remember we said our shout out is a way for us to have a conversation about something that might be in the news cycle or current. And as a way to illustrate that, we ask you a shout out so we can have a conversation that is relatable, because not every one of us is an expert on some of these matters, but we can still have a conversation in a way that applies to us, that is practical. So the question today is, do you have, and dare I say, a rather less scientific way of telling the weather? I've often heard older folk say, you know, if they once had an operation, that their operation moved and they knew that day it might rain, or that weekend there might be a cold front. Venga operation. You've heard that, right?
Yeah, many
Someone says, my operation says today or this weekend is a cold front.
Pain where my operation was.
Yeah.
And
or a tingling.
Yes.
Doesn't always have to be pain.
And it's going to be
Yes, my operation is tingling.
cloudy day.
Do you have a rather, and how foolproof is it? Is it 100% accurate all the time, even if people don't believe you? Of course, what tends to happen in my household is once it has started, once the unusual weather has started, only then do you hear that the operation had a tingle, if you know what I mean. Only then does my mother say, yeah,
You don't hear it before.
No.
It's a sweet science, this thing.
So it always
How
works.
dare you go against it?
It always works after the fact. Some people will look at their pets when perhaps their pets don't want to go outside and they know it's about to rain. But I think that's typically when the rain is really, really, really imminent, and, you can just open a curtain and you yourself can see why they don't want to go outside. Amo, you're looking at me with some concern.
No, it's not a concern. But in my grandmother's house, the kitchen window used to face the east, right? And you could see the sun rise. On days that the sun doesn't rise, particularly doesn't, shine within the kitchen,
right?
You know that it's going to be a cold day. And the same happened when we were recently in KZN. We were right near the coastline facing the east. And my kids would be like, first thing they wake up in the morning, we're going for a swim. I'd be like, guys, there's no way you're going to swim today because the sun won't be out. It's cloudy. Then they would be like, but how do you know? And I said, the sun didn't rise. We didn't see the sun rising. And that's how you know it's going to be cloudy.
Do you need Amo's east-facing kitchen window to know that, Mateo?
No, for me, it's the short walk to the bathroom. If I feel a little bit of chill while I walk there, then I know it's going to be a cold day. If I can walk to the bathroom and no problems, then I know I'm going to wear a T-shirt to work.
So today, what did the bathroom chills tell you?
As you can see, a bit of chill.
Let's have a little bit of fun on a Friday. It's 16 after 6.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
All right, Donald Trump, the U.S. president, confirming what many of us feared would happen. He signed an executive order reimposing sweeping tariff on imports from dozens of countries. So, to be clear, these are not only affecting South Africa. He's calling them reciprocal tariffs ranging from 10% to 41%. They take effect from today, following that deadline yesterday for trade deal negotiations. You will remember, of course, we spoke to Minister Parkstow, who all but confirmed there was no deal. Trump says this is to protect American industries, and no matter how many economists say to him, ultimately this is going to hurt American consumers. He's going ahead with it nonetheless. I'm not going to get into some detail because I think we might cover it as the show proceeds. So let's leave it there for now.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Muteo Hwaripe, a very good morning to you once again. You have a question of your own.
Yeah, I want to know this morning, how do you deal with someone who is not a team player? Whether you're working with them, whether it's in a social setting, you are organizing a party for a friend and they say they're going to handle the tent and chairs and they just don't come through. They're not a team player. Do you directly say, look, you've let us down, I don't trust you anymore? Do you say, let's isolate the person, they don't have to be responsible for anything further going forward?
Also, there are those people, Mateo, who want to shine, right? So we'll all do the work, and they want to be the ones to take the credit.
Yeah, the group member that comes through.
Do you know what I
on the
mean?
day. Yeah.
So sometimes it's not even about an unreliable person, but they're just not a team player. They want to always be seen as having done more than everybody else. And it's just so difficult to have somebody like that around.
But that's their role, to come and shine and claim the work
Me.
That's the role that they take.
So what do you do with them?
You just let them be. I mean, are you going to invest your time in people who aren't team players when you know, in fact, that you are a team player and that you do more than they do?
Yeah,
are
but
you going
management
to say,
always says, oh, Shabela Amo. Oh, Amo's the one. Amo's always. And the rest of us are going,
But if she is, she is.
702.
Weather.
What conditions can you expect in Gauteng on this Friday? It's the start of the weekend. I'm looking for my weather report. Thank you, KG. Fine Friday in store for Gauteng. Temperatures starting at 7 degrees in Joburg, peaking at 19. Pretoria 9 and 21. For Vereeniging 4 and 17 degrees. It's a cloudy start for Cape Town. Your high there is 16. That's the same for East London. Gqeberha peaks at 14. Durban 20.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's have a first look at the roads. Amo, what are you seeing?
Eldorado Park, Bongani, an accident reported on the N12 East. It's right near the Golden Highway. Delays from Klipspruit Valley Road. Please be on the lookout there. It's causing about a 10-minute hold-up already. And if you're traveling on the Golden Highway towards areas like Meredale and Southgate Mall, do expect delays. This is just as you come out of the N1. This is due to those long-term roadworks taking place along this route. And traveling on the Maikwa North, peak time delays already between Boyson's Road and Carr Street. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Mzansi, have you bought your Powerball ticket for the staggering 113 million rand estimated jackpot this Friday? Walala wasala. Play Powerball for the estimated 113 million rand jackpot today for your chance at winning life-changing millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
At Bright, we don't just provide business insurance. We insure your business's
future success.
Because your business is so much more than desks and computers and equipment, which is why we use our specialist expertise to tailor solutions for each client differently to ensure what's really important. So insure your businesses.
Financial security
with Bright today. Contact your broker or go to brightinsure.co.za to find out more. Bright. Approach risk with purpose. Bright is a licensed insurer and authorized FSP.
James, congrats on the babies.
Yeah, thanks. It's a wild ride.
You're a new dad, 2 babies, 0 sleep, and 1 car that apparently couldn't cope.
Yeah, the hatchback was my baby, but it just didn't have enough space for my 2 new babies.
And are you happy with the price when you sold to We Buy Cars?
Very. We've even got some extra cash to splurge on one of those fancy brands that you basically need a license for.
Good luck, James. We Buy Cars. Geared for family, geared for you.
Every business begins with heart, but it thrives with support.
And no one backs Gauteng's dreamers and doers like 702, Yoko, and you. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702 and Yoko are back to recognize and celebrate the local entrepreneurs making life better. From your favorite coffee spot to the baker who knows your name, from the salon that raised generations to the bold newcomer raising the bar. Just think of the business that made you feel seen. Now's your chance to say, I see you. I see you. Go to primemediaplus.com to view the categories and make your nomination. Because this province isn't just the hub of business, it's the home of excellence. And excellence deserves your applause. Gauteng's greatest awards with 702, powered by Yoko. Let Yoko Counter fuel your business to greatness. Go to yoko.com to explore the new point of sale solution, saving hundreds of businesses time and money.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the talk.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. My grandmother used to tell the weather just by looking at the moon. See, when the new moon is starting, like when it's tilted on the side, she'd say it's gonna rain because that moon, it's pouring the rain. And then when it's a new moon on the level, she'd say, no, this month we're not gonna have rain because the moon is not pouring. So even today, I still look at the moon when it's a new moon to see if we're gonna have rain or not. Vusi in Sinoville. Thank you. Good show.
All right, Vusi, is the moon pouring today? That's perhaps what we must ask. A number of you sending us messages through that live chat on YouTube. Moses Khare, we see you. Salome Shakung, we see you too. Hilton Yohani, I think it is. Theodore Khanyaho, good morning, all the way from the beautiful Irene. He says, Paradzai Diki, good morning, team. Lots of you just greeting us there. Cecil Malange. Perhaps maybe not. Let me not read that. Baloy says, wait. Is it not a Friday? Well, we have sung our song. So, welcome everyone.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
24 after 6 o'clock, things you need to know at this hour. As you've just heard in Eyewitness News, the US President Donald Trump signing that executive order, essentially imposing unilateral tariffs on imports from almost every country around the world. I want you to listen to the former Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper saying essentially what he thought the play was, right, when Donald Trump came into office. And I think this is a particularly interesting insight for those of us who have long held something could have been done to prevent the 30% we were slapped with as South Africa. Have a listen to what the Canadians are saying.
I think it's fair to say probably the most pro-American Prime Minister in Canadian history. And I tell people that if a year ago the government had asked me, President Trump's coming in, he's talking about, big challenges on trade, USMCA, tariffs, what would you advise? I would have said a year ago, this is a real opportunity for Canada to really deepen its economic and security partnership with the United States. However, when this government did actually ask me a few weeks ago my advice was the opposite. My advice was, yes, on the economy, we've got to kind of get something short-term worked out with the Trump administration, but this really is a wake-up call for this country to truly diversify its trade export markets. Just because we have that geographic proximity does not justify the degree of dependence that we have on a single market, which is sometimes disadvantageous.
So he says he was the most pro-American Canadian Prime Minister. A year ago, he would have said, work with the Americans. Let's see what we can do. When he's asked now, he says, do the opposite. Move on. Find some way to adapt to the new reality, because until Trump goes, it is not going to change. So is there anything you think we could have done to make the situation any different? Muteo is a prophet. It's official. Remember yesterday, Muteo, what did you say about interest rates?
25 basis point cut.
And what did the Reserve Bank do?
They cut.
By
25 basis points. I don't want anyone calling me to prophesy.
So if you want to know your future, call us now on 011 883 0702. Ask to speak to Muteo and directly to Muteo and nobody else. No, kidding. The Reserve Bank cutting interest rates yesterday, bringing the repo rate to 7% and the prime lending rate to 10.5%. And the decision was unanimous. Sacred jewels believed to have been linked to the Buddha's remains have been returned to India after global outrage and pressure from the Indian government forced the auction house Sotheby's to cancel a planned sale in Hong Kong. The Piprawa gems were unearthed in 1898 and have been since in a British private collection, and it has sparked once again that debate of whether sacred relics should be sold at all. I think it's a debate if you're in a country like the UK, if it's your country these relics were pillaged from, I don't think it's an ethical debate at all. So what's your foolproof way of telling the weather that isn't necessarily rooted in science? Why are we asking this? Well, imagine trying to plan your day without a weather app or radar or satellites or even those 7-day forecasts. That was the case for all of humanity until the year 1861, because it was on this day that the British naval officer Robert Fitzroy changed the game by publishing the world's first weather forecast in the Times. Before that, people watched how birds flew, how smoke curled from chimneys, or even how granny's knees ached to guess what the skies might be up to. And picture this: brightly colored SUVs with slick touchscreens, panoramic sunroofs rolling off dealership floors at prices that make rivals sweat. Chinese car brands are no longer fringe players in South Africa. They're dominating. In June, GWM, Chery topped the charts, selling almost 3,000 and 2,000 new cars respectively, according to the National Association of Automobile Manufacturers of South Africa. We apparently can't have enough of brands like Omoda, Jayco, Jetwa entering our roads, and we are all driving Chinese.
702.
The newspapers.
All right, Sviso Zulu, let's look at the newspapers. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Taking a look at the Mail and Guardian this morning, I found a story about how a dating app that is designed with women's safety in mind has been hacked, and it's exposed thousands of its members' comments, their images and posts. And the developer of this app, Bongani Sean Cook, says he was inspired to create the app after witnessing how unsafe dating was for his mother. And this was not a typical dating app. He basically made it so that women can vet potential dates, perform background checks, and exchange dating experiences. And so last week, the company confirmed that hackers gained unauthorized access to 72 images submitted by women. And many critics, however, say this dating app and its aims and whatever goal it has invades men's privacy and puts them at risk of defamation. But yeah, so essentially he was just like, look, women have bad dating experiences and therefore we are putting safety measures. But now their safety has been compromised because their identities and all their information has been leaked.
All right, the front page of the Business Day, emergency measures as tariff hike hits. Sowetan says Makate gets SCA callback, which I thought was a clever headline. The Citizen, solar, no place to hide. City Power now recording locations, looking for all those who have solar panels on their roofs but haven't registered them. Prepare to pay a fine. The Mail and Guardian, the sharks in our water system, how ruthless supply syndicates destroy and manipulate infrastructure for profit.
EWN Business.
Muteo, you want to know how to deal with somebody who's not a team player? Do you call them out? Do you isolate them? Do you have that friend or colleague who always pulls in a different direction from the rest of the group? What prompts the question?
Bongani, as the 30% tariffs hit today, the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition has released contingency measures to help local companies deal with the impact. In a statement late on Thursday, Minister Paksta criticized the Democratic Alliance's posture around the U.S. trade issue. Now, Dau says during what is a trying moment for South Africa, there are those seeking to sabotage efforts to resolve the impasse with the U.S. The DA says after months of inaction and aimless tricks, the minister is now resorting to last-minute measures to save face. Now, the trade minister says this is downright irresponsible of the DA, especially for a party in the government of national unity and one that's an integral part of the process. But politics aside, the DTIC has established an export support desk, which will serve as a direct point of contact for companies affected by the U.S. tariff hike. The desk will provide updates on developments and tailored advisory services to exporters on alternative destinations and guidance on market entry processes. So the department says this will protect jobs, preserve market access to the U.S. and diversify markets to the rest of the continent, the EU, Asia, and Latin America. The desk will provide updates on developments and tailored advisory services and might include tax incentives for those hit hard. Minister Dau says this tariff hike poses a direct threat to our export capacity, particularly in strategic sectors such as automotive, agro-processing, steel, and chemicals, amongst others. U.S. President Donald Trump's executive order says goods imported from all countries globally will have 10% tariffs, except for goods from 92 nations subject to higher levies. And South Africa is, of course, one of those.
Is it your sense they knew this day was coming?
Yeah, I think they would have planned for this with the contingencies and the office already being set up. They knew it was coming.
They knew it was coming. So where's the rand in all of this?
It's been battered against the dollar, 18 Rand 22 now against the US dollar. It was at 17 Rand 50 last week, so it's really, really weakened overnight. 20 Rand 80 cents against the euro, and even worse against the British pound at 24 Rand 5 cents. Price of gold at $3,291 an ounce, or platinum is at $1,281. Brent crude at $71.88 a barrel. More business after 7.
Right, straight to the news desk we go. Good morning again, Sfisa Zulu.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Please call me inventor Nkosana Makate. Says he believes the Constitutional Court could have come to a conclusive finding in its battle with telecommunications giant Vodacom. The Apex Court has remitted the matter back to the Supreme Court, setting aside its ruling. In a scathing judgment, the Constitutional Court pointed out that the Appeals Court made several errors in its adjudication of the matter, which resulted in a ruling in Makate's favor. Makate and Vodacom have been in an almost 20-year battle over what is due to Makate over the invention of the Please Call Me products. Khomotso Modisa reports.
In his final judgment before retirement, Justice Madlanga highlighted what he calls the Supreme Court's fatal shortcomings in that it did not make its own decision on the issues in the matter. The court has granted Vodacom leave to appeal the Supreme Court's judgment, but has also ruled that the matter should go back to the court before a different panel. But Nkosana Makate says he was expecting a different decision.
I think the CC could have probably finalized the matter. I mean, we still had a hearing at the High Court, which they could have gone to as well, and then ignored the SA completely. I mean, they are at large to do that, and they could have done that, yeah.
Makate says he remains resilient and sure in his case. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News in the Constitutional Court.
Some parties in the Johannesburg Council believe the city should replace the Killarney Country Club golf course with low-cost housing. Yesterday, the council voted in favour of a motion that will see the city undertake a public consultation process on whether it should sell or renegotiate its leasing terms with the club. In 1970, the Houghton Base Club signed a long-term lease for the city's more than 111 hectares of land, paying only R2 a month. Good Party councillor Matthew Cook says there is no shortage of golf courses in Johannesburg, but there's a shortage of houses.
Us as Good, we say we should be looking at this land rather than profiting from it, because public land must be used for public good. The public must benefit from the public land, and this is a well-located piece of land. So this land should be used for things like low-cost housing, mixed use, sports centres, and things like that, where the public in those communities can really benefit from it, rather than just an elite few who are able to play golf.
The DA's Alex Christian says the party objects against the motion.
In its current form, as it is vague and does not provide sufficient information for us to make an informed decision. We are not against public participation, but the process that they want to follow in terms of how the public will then respond to what is in the detail of that report.
In the capital, the Tshwane municipality's newly introduced city cleansing levy has been set aside by the Gauteng High Court following a challenge by lobby group AfriForum. In May, Tshwane passed its budget for the current financial year, which included a new R194 a month tariff for customers who are using private waste collection. In its papers, AfriForum says the capital was unfairly taxing residents who established their own means to dispose of their waste because of the municipality's inefficiencies. In a ruling handed down yesterday, the High Court declared the levy unlawful, ordering the city to immediately stop billing residents and reimburse those it already has. The DA's Jake Ace says this is a victory for the residents of the city.
In February this year, the DA started advocating to the ANC government to not introduce any new taxes on our residents. Since then, we have repeatedly warned the government of the day to not use the residents of Tshwane as cash cows.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 4 and 7 degrees, peaking at highs between 19 and 21.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in Eldorado Park on the N12 East between Klipspruit Valley Road and the Golden Highway due to a major accident scene, while travelling on the M1 North, delays between Boysons Road and Carr Street.
The top story this hour, Please Call Me Inventor Nkosana Makete says he believes the Constitutional Court could have come to a conclusive finding in his battle with Vodacom.
This past Sunday, Joburg walked the talk together. Thousands stepped up, stepped out, and stepped forward. And none of it would have been possible without the incredible partners who walked this journey with us.
The highlight for Himalaya Wellness being here today for Walk the Talk was that the relevant space, we are around health-conscious people that want to be their better selves, and they also just want to live well, live herbal. So that's why we took the decision to be here. This is our first, but certainly not our last. So we look forward as Himalaya Wellness on being here next year as well as a partner of 702 Walk the Talk.
A heartfelt thank you to every sponsor who made this year's 702 Walk the Talk possible. You powered the spirit of a city walking as one. The 702 Walk the Talk was hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
Introducing Auto & General's Fire Assist benefit in partnership with Fidelity Secure Fire.
Hi, I'm Zamo Mkhunu. I'm a firefighter and I've faced over 1,000 fires. There's a lot of training. You get punished. You can save things, but really it's about saving lives. I'm a very committed fireman, and with this partnership, I'll be able to help more people.
We make sure you never face the flames alone. Follow our social media for more. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Breaking news. SARS has enhanced the personal income tax return form. It has simpler questions that adapt to your income and deductions based on your answers. Whether you're employed or self-employed, the digital form has built-in guidance and the option to save and finish later. Tax matters, so does your time. File with ease on e-filing or the SARS Mobi app today. Go to sars.gov.za. SARS, at your service. 702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Morning, Boxer team. So I stayed in a flat like on the last floor. It's up 10 floor flat, and how I tell the weather, I just peek outside the window and see what everyone else is wearing, and then if I see a lot of jackets, I'm gonna put on a jacket. If I see good today, there's people are wearing vests, I'm putting on a short.
Good morning, Bongani Bingwa and the team. Here in the Val, if the weather is seemingly rainy from the side of Sasolburg in the Free State, the people of the Val, they call that their rain. They say this is our rain if it comes from the Sasolburg side. And when it comes from Johannesburg side, it's not their rain. I don't know why they call it like that. They say Kipula ya Rona coming from Sasol side, Free State side. They know that is their rain. Baba from the Val. have a splendid weekend.
Baba from the Val, you have a splendid weekend too. I'm not entirely convinced about checking to see what other people are wearing as a predictor of what you should. And this may sound a little controversial, but I know some Afrikaans men in particular who will wear shorts even if there's a blizzard. I mean, okay, maybe that's extreme, but you know what I mean? But be careful judging by what other people wear. Cindy, do you have a foolproof? I was talking about my mother.
Yes.
Whenever her operation tingles, she knows it's going to rain or there's going to be cold weather, right? But it's always after there's cold weather.
Oh.
She tells you she felt it before.
Yeah.
So you see,
she knew.
It works 100% every time.
Yeah. I don't think it's controversial what you said about Afrikaans men wearing shorts in a blizzard.
Especially former rugby players.
It's just...
They'll be wearing flip-flops and short shorts.
You know that it's cold when they wear 2 pairs of shorts. That's how you know. But I'll never forget Alex J, who I used to work with at 947, once said to me he always knew when winter was coming by the way the breakfast team dresses, because those are the people that are at work first. So if those people are already starting to wear long sleeve shirts, because we wake up really, really early and it's generally cooler or colder. And then by the time the weather can completely change by 9 o'clock. So sometimes in summer we come and we dressed all summer, and by 9 o'clock it's one of those freak cold days, right? But he said he always knew because suddenly there were jackets, there were scarves, whereas by the time he came in at 9 o'clock it had already warmed up a little. He's like, oh, winter's coming.
See, I wonder, I mean, that might be true of music radio because generally those teams come a little later than we do. I'm often here at 4 o'clock in the morning. And so you step out of the shower, I'm showering at about 3 o'clock, 3:15, 3:20, thereabouts. And I sometimes find that it can get colder after the sun is up, which is quite bizarre. So I'm not always an accurate predictor. So don't watch us on YouTube and look at what I'm wearing and think that that's a guide for what the weather will be like.
EWN Sport.
It's the week of awards, Cindy, is it not?
Yeah.
The day before was the football, PSL, and now, last night was the CSA Awards.
The Cricket South Africa Awards last night, Keshav Maharaj and Nkululeko Mlaba were named Men's and Women's Cricket of the Year. Kagiso Rabada, Players Player, Temba Bavuma, Test Player, and now retired Heinrich Klaasen was ODI Player of the Year. In the rain-affected fifth test between England and India, India sent into bat 204 for 6 at stumps on day 1. Nair there on 52. And Bulawayo, Zimbabwe 31 for 2 in their second innings on day 2. They trailed New Zealand by 127 after the Black Caps, so 307 all out. In a T20 this morning, Pakistan beat the West Indies by 14 runs. At the World Championship of Legends, South Africa getting some sweet revenge. They beat Australia by 1 run in the semi-final. They'll meet Pakistan in the final. Morne van Wyk made 76 and man of the match Wayne Parnell took 2 for 33. A PSL disciplinary committee found Maruma Galant guilty of fielding an incorrectly registered player, Mondi Mpambaniso, but the club won't be docked points. Instead, they are fined 200,000 rand. MTN 8 quarterfinal opens tomorrow. Orlando Pirates against Polokwane, followed by Skakone and TS Galaxy. While a friendly played yesterday, Tottenham Hotspur beat Arsenal 1-0. At the World Swimming Champs, Peter Kutzer is going for his second gold medal. He swims in the 200-meter backstroke final at 10-2 this afternoon. After him, Kayleen Corbett swims in the 200-meter breaststroke final. Well, Formula One's in Hungary this week, where ahead of the race, Max Verstappen, who had been linked to a move to Mercedes, confirmed he's staying with Red Bull next year. Verstappen hates gossip.
People are waffling so much, throughout the whole season, while the only one that actually can or should speak is not speaking. That's me. And I do that on purpose because it makes no sense to start throwing things around. Some people just like to stare at the pot. Some people just like to create drama. But for me, it's always been quite clear. And also for next year, I'm discussing with the team already the plans, the things that we want to change for next year.
Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Hello, Uncle Bongani. My name is Katlego Mahuitin. I am 10 years old. When I grow up, I want to be a professional surgeon. I live in Rhinefield and I go to school at Tomnibi School. I am so excited to do this quiz with you.
We're excited to play with you too. Katlego, can you walk away with 10,000 Rand?
EWN Traffic.
14 to 7, this Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Insurance in partnership with 702. There's a crash in Eldorado Park. Amo, is it a bad one?
It is indeed a bad one, Bongani. It's on the N12 East, right near the Golden Highway. Delays coming out of Klipspruit Valley Road. And if you're traveling along the N12 heading towards Protea Glen, the N12 West, do expect some delays approaching the R558. We do know that traffic lights are out of order there, and that's why the traffic is always congested along this route. Heading towards Braamfontein via the M1 North, do expect delays between Boysons Road and Car Street. There's also queuing traffic along the Winnie Mandela Drive. This is in the Fourways area approaching Sloane Street, and that's due to faulty traffic lights. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a nervous but excited first-time driver waiting for the perfect gap to switch lanes. I can do this. The pressure. The Outsurance pointsman knows not just a car in traffic. It's a sense of freedom and independence on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Celebrate Women's Month in style with exclusive platinum or golden standing tickets to see Grammy Award-winning singers Anthony Hamilton and Joe Thomas. Enjoy complimentary seating, dedicated bar areas and restrooms, and the freedom to bring your own picnic blankets for a relaxed, unforgettable experience happening at the iconic DP World Wanderers Stadium in Sandton. They'll be joined by multi-award-winning South African singers, the incomparable Zonke, Stava, Vusinova. Get your tickets now at CompuTicket or webtickets.co.za. Brought to you by Soulful Night, Vertex, and 702.
Welcome to the brand new days. Sail the world with Norwegian Cruise Line, with more to see, more to do, and more to enjoy. Plus, upgrade your holiday with NCL's More at Sea for premium beverages, specialty dining, and much more. Think international cruising. Think NCL. For the best deals available, visit ncl.com or contact your travel agent. Restrictions apply. Welcome to the brand new days.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
At the heart of global conversations shaping our future, Africa's voice is more important than ever. As proud lead sponsor of the B20, the Standard Bank Group is honored to showcase the continent's growth, partnerships, and potential on the world stage. Because driving Africa's growth isn't just our ambition, it's our purpose. Tune in every Monday from 3 p.m. for the Standard Bank B20 In Brief for key insights and updates around the B20. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Good morning, Bungles. I saw an aging Kwasana Makate yesterday at the Concord, and I just felt for the dude. This is 20 years. You can see, the photos of him 20 years back when he started this battle and yesterday. And you just can't stop thinking that this man may age, way into his 60s or even 70s before we see the end of this case. 9 billion, I still believe that, Vodacom must compensate him, but not that hefty. If I was in Nkosana, I would settle for like 150, 120 and just move on with life. 100 million, you are the richest man in South Africa. Thanks, Bonks.
Vuyani, well, you can imagine, as you say, this litigation has been underway for many a year, but it's also widely understood that he has financial backing from people who think money is to be made from this case. So he's not fighting it necessarily out of his own pocket. Sterling Rand Litigation Fund is widely credited with backing this case against Vodacom over Please Call Me. And so this funding has made it possible for him to pursue it all these years. And of course, the understanding is that they will have a share of whatever spoils he is eventually granted. So if Vodacom has the legs for this, you betcha, so does Makate.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 7.
Let's give away some cash, shall we? Katleho is 10 years old, goes to Tom Newby School, wants to be a surgeon when he grows up, which is absolutely fantastic. At 10 years old, Katleho, I don't even think I knew what a surgeon was, I can tell you. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
Here we go. KG, start the clock. Spell the word weekend.
WEEKEND.
True or false? A week has 7 days.
True.
What color do you get when you mix red and white?
Orange.
Pink. What is the name of Africa's longest lake? Is it Victoria or Tanganyika?
Victoria.
It's Tanganyika. What is 15 plus 15?
30.
Correct. Does the word renown mean fame or disaster?
Fame.
Correct. What famous person appears on South Africa's banknotes, our money?
Nelson Mandela.
Correct. What insects are called drones? Is it moths or is it bees?
Bees.
Correct. In sport, the acronym GOAT stands for what of all time?
Greatest of all time.
Correct. What is the name of Wendy's dog in Peter Pan?
Skip.
It's Nana. It's Nana. All right, we got through our 10 questions. You did really, really well. Katleho, you had a good run there, walking away with 7 correct answers. 700 Rand is what you win in today's Whiz Quiz.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? And it's brought to you by Outsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. So what you do is you send us an answer based on something you heard on the show that piqued your interest, and for that you win 1,000 Rand. WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Then a little later, someone will ask a question to get your answer, and for their troubles, we'll give them 2,000 Rand. Now, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you have SMS'd out to Outsurance. So do it now. SMS out to 45142. You could save on your car insurance.
702.
The Political Desk.
Looking back at the political week that was, we're joined now by Associate Political Editor at EWN, Tsidi Madia. Always a pleasure to have this reflection with you, our weekly date, if you will. Tsidi, let's start with the so-called Battle of the Presidents. A very busy constitutional court essentially sided with President Ramaphosa.
Good morning, Bongani. I don't know, to be honest with you, if there was anybody who watched the proceedings was surprised by the outcome. I mean, if you listened or you watched the proceedings, it was a case that was pretty much dead in the water. From the arguments of the MKP, Umkhonto weSizwe's legal counsels, of course, their issue was the commission that was set up by the president, was the appointment of the acting minister, but also putting Senzo Mchunu on leave. So they questioned the entire thing in its entirety. In fact, if you go back to when they first reacted, when that Sunday happened, the announcement was made by the president, they had actually called for the president to step down on the back of all of this, saying that, it's a sham. So the Constitutional Court denying them direct access. It was an urgent matter because that police capture commission is due to start this month. And as expected, the MKP itself hasn't reacted well. What I found interesting in listening to some of the arguments is that it wasn't about the merits of this case. It became about the former president's incarceration. It became about preference of Ramaphosa. It became about the politics and not necessarily what they put on paper as being the legal question around this issue. And I think there's a question of jurisdiction that will arise as well, Bongani, where some are saying this matter actually belongs in the High Court. The EFF is pursuing this matter, from what I understand, via the High Court regarding the minister who's been placed on special leave specifically. That matter, I think, will still continue to be dealt with in the lower courts.
Yeah, I insisted because, of course, Advocate Dali Mpofu, representing Jacob Zuma and Umkhonto weSizwe, himself conceded that perhaps this is a matter that could have been ventilated in the lower courts, perhaps only arguing that urgency prevented them from doing so. The other question now I have for you is many questions are rising now around the Deputy President Paul Mashatile's wealth, right? These mansions in the plusher suburbs of Johannesburg and Cape Town, of course, they're officially registered in the name of his son-in-law, and he has declared them because he claims to have a beneficial use of them. What questions does it raise about Paul Mashatile? And let's not forget that diamond ring for his wife with an alleged Ponzi scheme kingpin, who, if he is listening to us now, is doing so from Jose Mampur.
Exactly. I think there's so many people who are looking at the Paul Mashatile issue, the deputy president's issues from different lenses. And I will say that part of the issue with dealing with the deputy president is that it's a known thing that there's a person with ambitions to become the president of the country. So part of the issue with dealing with these whatever's unfolding around him is that it's looked at with that lens, that there's this person fit for purpose. So there's that. I want you to be mindful of that. But in terms of him himself, I mean, I've seen him now coming out in public and taking quite a firm stance, defending his position, saying that people must read, that he was saying that he doesn't own that place in Cape Town, but he benefits and that he lives there. But the issue is when there's so much mud being thrown at you, and it might not stick from where he stands, but you get tainted. And that's the issue. That's the connection with the family members. That's the question about the cost of these properties versus how much he earns a year. It's a question of what ways family members have also, what's the story of their wealth and the connections to his proximity via his role in politics in Gauteng and at national level. There's questions about his associates as well. And those are things that I found that the deputy president is unable to answer for properly, is unable to wade through properly in a sufficient manner. That is so. Those issues around the character, I think you need to look at in the context of here's a person who wants to serve, but there are all these question marks and attachments that continue to follow him everywhere he goes.
Why is he consorting with alleged criminals is what I want to know. Right, let's talk about the Joburg businessman Malcolm X explaining his so-called influence on Hawks boss Godfrey Lebeya.
That's another one.
Right.
I mean, Clement Panyatela this week, I said to Clement, what is this? What's going on? So Malcolm X coming out saying that he wasn't an informant for the former General Godfrey Lebeya, that he's the person who called the former Hawks head to say that, this Hawks people are at KT Malefa's place. But what is interesting is that he then says, I'm not an informant. I speak to Godfrey Lebeya. And then Godfrey Lebeya had said that, no, the person who called him was an informant. So you've got this now weird back and forth about who to believe between somebody who you shouldn't actually question because of the position he held in specialized policing versus this person who, mind you, Malcolm X has had corruption allegations also leveled against him in the past. So he's also one of those checkered characters that we come across. A lot of us journalists will remember Malcolm X during his tenure at dishing out money. And we'll always be like, where does this money come from? Where he's handing out money all willy-nilly everywhere. So that intersection is weird. And the part where he says to Clement, I speak to their principles, I know all of these people, is interesting for me because it says a lot about our politicians, but also about people who wield public power and the access and the kind of characters that they engage with.
And asking you the question, I was almost tempted to say so-called businessman. Let's talk about your latest episode of Polytricking, which is doing really, really well, by the way. If you've got an opportunity, do watch that podcast with Tsidi Madea. This week's guest is none other than the EFF leader, Julius Malema. Did he say anything that surprised you?
I really wish I could say yes. What was interesting for me, and one of my greatest takeaways, is that so with Julius Malema, people say it's gossip, but for me, Julius Malema gives a lot of texture to a lot of the things that we've seen playing themselves out in public. I mean, to say that when he was meeting with Zuma played music in the background, Maskandi, because he's so paranoid. It gives you texture about what is happening in these corridors and during these conversations and how paranoid these people are. The 2017 conversation to say, yes, we didn't want anyone but Zuma. And that suggests that Malema, even though he's in the EFF, remains quite interested in the ANC. My last general take is Malema hasn't really moved on from all the scars and all the things that have gone wrong in his party over the previous year. That level of bitterness about particular individuals was actually very clear. I felt that he showed himself in his truest form in that interview. I'm still astounded, Bongani, by some of the things that he said. Others say to me, it wasn't an interview with somebody who believes he can be a president. It was a gossip session. But again, I think Malema was telling his truth and showing you who he is in that interview.
I've not always regarded him as the most thick-skinned of our politicians. You can catch that episode with Tsidi Madea, Polytricking, on EWN.
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
It really is the big interview this morning. It's a real coup for us, and I'm pleased to tell you up next, the outgoing Deputy Chief Justice, Mbuyiseli Madlanga.
This is EWN.
Trump has signed an order for tariffs on dozens of countries, including South Africa, and Deputy President Mashatile to be fined for his controversial diamond gift. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. South Africa is among countries that have been slapped with sweeping American tariffs after President Donald Trump signed an executive order. Despite trade negotiations, Trump has today imposed the tariffs ranging from 10% to 40%. Washington says the tariffs are to protect American industries, reduce the trade deficit, and what he claims are unfair trade policies. Trade and Industry Minister Parks Dawood told 702 yesterday that there has been no breakthrough to stop the 30% tariff on South Africa, despite diplomatic talks between the two countries.
The reality is, yes, there are issues that the US has continued to raise with us. And yes, we have committed to engage with them. As I said, Minister Lamula was there this week. But we also have to deal with the reality that on the trade issues, we're part of many that are dealing with similar situations.
Leaders in the property sector say the latest 25 basis point cut in the repo rate is expected to hand the country's property market a welcome boost. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee unanimously voted to cut the repo rate yesterday after its monthly meeting in July. Inflation has been consistently within or below the central bank's 3 to 6% target range, even hitting 2.8% in April and May, before a slight uptick to 3% in June. The currency has remained fairly stable against the dollar despite global uncertainty caused by higher U.S. tariffs. Nokayam Dambo reports.
The cumulative rate cut of 1.25% since the cycle started will make home loans more affordable, and property buyers will find it slightly easier to qualify, opening more doors to home ownership. The repayment on a bond of 1 million rands over 20 years will now be reduced by around 168 rands. Home owners with a 2 million rand bond will save almost 350 rands. Consumers on the higher end of the spectrum will save close to 900 rands on repayment costs for a 5 million rand bond over 20 years. CEO of Jorwitz Properties, Herschel Jorwitz, says the reprieve on the cost of servicing debt, including car and credit card repayments, will continue to have a positive effect on consumer confidence, which is also a key driver on the residential market. While he also welcomes the impact on disposable income for homeowners and buyers, Chairman of the Seif Property Group, Samuel Seif, says bolder rate cuts are still needed. Nogukanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
Deputy President Paul Mashatile is set to face a 10,000 rand fine for failing to declare to Parliament a diamond gifted to his wife by diamond dealer Louis Liebenberg. Liebenberg is currently facing a raft of corruption charges related to diamond dealing, and Parliament's Ethics Committee has rejected Mashatile's excuses for why he did not declare the diamond after the DA laid a complaint in March, questioning the omission. Lindsay Dentlinker reports.
In the confidential section of last year's register, Deputy President Paul Mashatile has been found wanting. In his defence, Mashatile said he was waiting for the diamond to be appraised to determine its value before declaring it, and that he since surrendered the stone to the National Prosecuting Authority. But the Ethics Committee was of the view he should have declared it first and submitted a value later. Co-chairperson of the Ethics Committee, Luciso Makubela, says MPs are required to disclose the financial interests of their immediate family in the confidential section of the register.
Members of Parliament would put those financial interests of their immediate family members, which we believe should not be consumed by the public in a manner that would expose them or prejudice them.
After refuting reports about owning a property in Cape Town, this year Mashatile has added the disputed Constantia property in his public disclosures. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And the death toll from Russian missile and drone strikes on Kyiv has risen to 26, including 3 children. Ukraine's Interior Ministry says the number has been revised after rescuers retrieved 10 bodies from the rubble of a residential building. Kyiv says 159 people were wounded in yesterday's attack. Gold is trading at $3,293.03 an ounce. The rand is trading at 18.21 to the dollar, 24.05 to the pound, 20.80 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $71.79 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N12 West as well as the R24 West between Barber Road and the Gululis interchange. Peak time delays there. There's also peak time delays along the N1 South heading towards Midrand, coming out of the Brockfontein interchange all the way towards Olifantsfontein Road.
And in your sport, Keshav Maharaj and Nonkululeko Mlaba named Men's and Women's Cricketer of the Year. India resumed day 2 on 204 for 6 while England's Wokes left the field injured. Maruma Galant won't be docked points but fined instead for feeling an incorrectly registered player. And Peter Kutzer and Kayleen Corbett going for gold at the World Swimming Champs this afternoon.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg is at a low of 7 degrees, peaking at 19. Pretoria 9 and 21 for the Innergang 4 and 17 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. South Africa is among countries that have been slapped with sweeping American tariffs after President Donald Trump signed an executive order.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 7 o'clock, you're listening to 702 Breakfast. It's the first day of August, the year of our Lord, 2025. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. How are you celebrating? How old are you? Do let us know. Maybe it's your anniversary. It comes, of course, on a day many of us are going to remember around the world. Many countries slapped with sweeping American tariffs after President Donald Trump signed an executive order. Because, of course, many of these countries, including ourselves, have not been able to strike a deal. I played you earlier a clip of the former Canadian Prime Minister who says essentially it's time to move on from America. And I wonder if these tariffs in the end won't bite the Americans as much as they will the rest of us.
And the other thing, in terms of security, my advice to the government is let's make sure we spend a lot more on defense so that we can be independently responsible for our own land, seas, and skies, independent of the United States.
Go it alone, essentially there, the former Prime Minister of Canada, Stephen Harper. Now, if they couldn't get a deal, what convinces you we might have been able to? This, of course, we're dealing with a man, the US President, who even now disavows his Federal Reserve chair. Remember a few weeks ago, he blamed Joe Biden for appointing a man he actually chose. So now he remembers that it was in fact him who chose Jerome Powell, but he still doesn't have kind things to say about him, does he?
We have him there, and it was a mistake. I put him in, and then Biden extended him, and Biden only extended him because he knew I couldn't stand him, and that turned out to be not a good thing for Biden. Although he did lower interest rates just prior to the election, didn't work out too well for them, but he did lower them pretty substantially just prior to the election. No, he's a political hack, not very good. He's not a smart guy.
Are we really surprised, though, that Donald Trump is who he has been, particularly the second time around in office? I want you to listen to the former American talk show host and comedian Rosie O'Donnell, who says, I grew up around Donald Trump. As a New Yorker, I know exactly who this man is. Why is it that we let him get away with so much?
I don't understand how he's able to get away with the things he gets away with. Breaking the law, the emoluments clause, taking bribes, blackmailing people. He's a criminal con man. And if you grew up in New York, as I did, you knew this your whole life. We watched his planes get repossessed off the runway at LaGuardia. We watched him try to sell steaks and cologne in a fake university, steal money from charities that his family can't even have a charity anymore in New York City, in the New York State, because they had stolen money from kids' cancer charities. There's no way you can look at the facts about this man and believe in him still. You have to have willful blindness.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
11 after 7, things you need to know at this hour. President Cyril Ramaphosa has appointed Justice Dunstan Mlambo as South Africa's new Deputy Chief Justice, effective last Friday. The President's spokesperson, Vincent Makwenya, saying Ramaphosa took into account the views of the Judicial Service Commission and political parties in Parliament before making the decision. Talking of deputies, the Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, has been fined 10,000 rand and given a formal reprimand by Parliament after failing to declare a diamond gift to his wife by so-called businessman Louis Liebenberg, who's facing trial in November for allegedly running a multi-million rand Ponzi-style diamond scheme. It's an extraordinary thing for the number 2, the next in line, to be receiving gifts from a guy who is currently, as we speak, at Kgosi Mampuru prison. Remember, last month, Liebenberg was complaining about how he's being treated at Kgosi Mampuru, saying that he's not being allowed communication with his wife Desiree, who also, by the way, stands accused and who is also behind bars. These are the friends of the Mashatiles. It really is unbelievable. Now, what's the oddest story you think you're going to hear today? Listen to this. Imagine a newborn baby who is an uncle to a 10-year-old. Weird so far? The newborn baby's sister is 30 years old. But here's the clincher. The father of this newborn baby is technically almost a few years older than him. Give 2 or 3 years. Do I have your attention? In Ohio, little Thaddeus Daniel Pierce was born just a few days ago, but his life technically began in 1994 when his embryo was frozen and kept on ice for 30 years. This makes him the world's oldest known frozen embryo baby to be born. I want you to listen to an explanation of all of this. This, of course, is coming from Sky News, explaining just how it is that this baby was born. Listen to Sky News reporter Victoria Seabrook.
According to a report by MIT Technology Review, this modern marvel came from an embryo, a fertilized egg, held in a storage tank since 1994. It was eventually adopted by parents Lindsay and Tim Pierce and then transferred into Lindsay's uterus in November 24. And in July 25, Thaddeus was born.
Isn't that an incredible, incredible story?
702. Up next,
the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
14 after 7, this Eyewitness News traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702. There are delays on the N12 West. Amo, what's going on?
That's correct, Bongani. Approaching the Kilulis interchange, the R24 West is also backed up coming out of Barbara Road. I'm seeing an accident right near the Edenville Road exit, and that's the reason for that queue this morning. So please be on the lookout there and approach with care. Traveling in El Dorado Park, we still have got that accident scene along the N12 East. It is right near the Golden Highway. Delays coming out of Klipspruit Valley Road. If you're traveling in the Falkfontein area, we've got another accident scene right near Elephant Street. It's on the Golden Highway and it's causing long queues. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. I'll have more updates for you, but if you see anything else, we're on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever late excuse number 74. The elevator was broken, so I had to take the stairs all the way up. Well, fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are on the roads and they're there so that you don't come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen, easing traffic congestion, getting you there quickly and safely since 2005. Outsurance really means it when they say you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702.
The big interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
It's a 7:15. Yesterday, the Constitutional Court came alive with a special ceremony to bid farewell to the acting Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga. Madlanga was a titan of the judiciary who has retired after 17 years on the bench. It was a ceremony led by Chief Justice Mandisa Maya and a fitting tribute to Madlanga's remarkable tenure with the who's who of South Africa's judiciary, the executive and parliament, and the legal profession in attendance. Have a listen to some of those tributes.
Justice Madlanga's career is not just a chronicle of personal achievement, it's a tale of how one individual's dedication to justice can shape the destiny of a nation.
Justice Madlanga's work has embodied the Constitution's promise of transformative constitutionalism. The idea that law must be a tool to transform society from its unjust past to a future grounded in human rights and equality.
Through his conduct, Justice Madlanga demonstrated that one can be brilliant without arrogance, principled without rigidity, and powerful without being overbearing and domineering. He has reminded us all that the rule of law is not an abstraction. It is a living commitment to fairness, to accountability, and to justice for all.
The words there of Chief Justice Mandisa Maya, Advocate Kay Pillay, and the NPA boss advocate Shamila Batoy. And I'm really pleased to tell you, we've got the outgoing Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga with us this morning. A very good morning to you. Welcome back to our program. I think it's been a couple of years since you and I spoke on air. And firstly, thank you for doing this.
Good morning to you and your listeners, Bongani. Thank you. Thank you to you too.
17 long years on the bench. What inspired your love for the law?
Bongani, it's been said a few times. It's my late father. When I was in my matric year, I had no idea what I wanted to do the following year. And my father wrote me a letter in which he asked if I would not want to be a judge. And he specifically mentioned that someday and whether I would not want to do law. I did not even have to think about it. I just accepted my father's suggestion. The following year, I registered for law.
And the rest is history, as they say. What does justice mean to you?
Bongani, I've repeatedly been quoted as saying, I have an instinct for justice. What is just comes instinctively to me. And I've often given examples of that. For example, there will be a long-standing legal principle, sometimes inherited by South Africa, say from England, in the 19th century or when, a long time back. But when I look at that principle, and other people seem to just accept it as a matter of course, but when I look at it, I just instinctively feel that there's something unjust about this. And there's one example, I will not bore you with details. There's one such example in which when I went back and, dug in, I came to the conclusion, and this is a judgment I delivered at the Constitutional Court. I came to the conclusion that this was totally not only unjust, but also wrong on the basic principles of law, and those happen to be the interpretation of contracts. So to me, justice is doing justice between person and person.
I suppose the difficulty many people will have around the world, and I don't think it's unique to South Africa, ordinary folk often feel marginalized when it comes to access to justice. And many people will argue only deep pockets open the eyes of Lady Justice.
Bongani, I cannot but agree with that. The majority of our people are unrepresented in our courts. Sometimes they may not even attempt to defend a civil claim because they just do not know how. And judgments may end up being taken against them by huge corporates, for example. So I accept the proposition that you make without any reservation. I will say in the South African context, there have been attempts to address this situation. And perhaps what I should have said in what I said just before now is that what is unfortunate with this is there is a need for an inequality of arms when you litigate. Because if you have an experienced and expert, for example, senior counsel, what hope do you have if you are there all by yourself?
Yeah.
You will not be able to match pound for pound what that senior counsel presents before court. Now, the attempts I was referring to, for example, there are entities and even law firms that do a bit in providing pro bono assistance to litigants, poor litigants. There is one that comes to mind, an organization called Pro Bono Org. And in some of the big law firms, they also have pro bono divisions that are dedicated to doing pro bono work. There's also Legal Aid South Africa, which does afford assistance to all accused persons in criminal matters. But unfortunately, although it does provide assistance in civil matters, there's the question of a threshold, a threshold that in a sense is similar to the threshold for the assistance of students at tertiary institutions. You'll remember the saying that said they are too rich to be funded, but too poor to afford their own fees. So it's exactly the same here with the threshold that's used for legal aid.
If I may come in there, what justice is it if it depends on charity at times? We've seen sustained attacks on the judiciary. How concerned are you about that?
No, I am quite concerned, and I was actually going to conclude by even saying that, and in any event, even though there are all these, they are a drop in the ocean. They come nowhere near sufficiently or meaningfully assisting all those that do require assistance. So I am quite concerned, Bongani. But unfortunately, I will immediately admit that I do not have any bright ideas as to how this should be addressed or resolved. But maybe yes.
Let's talk about another problem. Increasingly, we have seen, and I think this week could be a good example of it, the courts being a political theater through lawfare, where litigants have other platforms to resolve their differences, but instead rely on the courts to decide. How do we fix this?
That's a difficult one in this sense. You will find that in those matters where we as the judiciary feel that this ought to have gone elsewhere, you will find in some instances that there is actually a legal basis. And we have decided some of those cases in accordance with the applicable principles. It's just unfortunate. That's an obligation resting on us as institutions created by the Constitution to do exactly that. But it does not detract from the reality that some of the institutions or politicians choose this, should I call it, easy option, instead of fighting their battles head on within their own institutions. That's very unfortunate.
Now, I need to clarify for many people listening who might expect perhaps me to ask you questions about the work you are about to assume. You and I have agreed we will not go there for the obvious reason that, of course, you can't be commenting on a process that has hardly begun. But you have been part of other commissions before. We're approaching yet another anniversary of the Marikana massacre, this being the month of August. You were the chief evidence leader in that commission that investigated what went wrong. All these years later, do Do you think we as a nation have been cleansed of that moment?
I would say, I would only say we have been, once all the claims that were brought by the families of the victims of the massacre have been finalized, and also once all criminal prosecutions have been finalized. I have heard that the settlement process in civil matters is afoot. I have no idea at what stage the criminal prosecutions are. Thank you, Bongani.
Here's the difficulty many people are finding around commissions of inquiry in general. Even when adverse findings are made, they can be taken under review. Doesn't that blunt them then as an instrument of accountability?
Maybe it does, but we have the unfortunate situation that the right of review is itself also grounded in the Constitution. In terms of the promotion, what's usually referred to as PAJA, the Promotion of Administrative Justice Act, and even in terms of the rule of law. So people will always do what they are entitled to, that is to exercise their constitutional right. That's very unfortunate. But in terms of the actual effect, yes, I agree with you.
You come from Njijini, a little-known village outside of Mount Frere. What would you say to a young boy growing up there now in the same way you did all those years ago? What possibilities can a future hold for them?
Bongani, things have changed significantly now from the time that I grew up. Those years, if one motivated a young boy, and what to do, the right things to do, going to school and being serious about schooling, those years, there would be hope that there are indeed opportunities. The problem now is, yes, not all doors are closed, but there are many who do go to school, are very serious about it, go to university, are very serious about it, but at the end of it all, they end up holding certificates, diplomas, degrees, but they have no opportunities to use those qualifications. But I would, to answer your question directly, still encourage the young to look all around them and see people who have achieved something within their communities and try to emulate that.
Your career has come to its sunset. Your work, of course, as a judge will carry on for the rest of your days, hopefully, or at least the option of it. What's the most valuable lesson you've learned?
Bongani, I have been in the fortunate position of working with very wonderful human beings. I would say the lesson I have learned is that if you find yourself in that kind of environment, it makes you all that much more productive. I would say that's a lesson I've learned.
Are you optimistic about our country, about our democracy?
I'm an eternal optimist. I must say, though, that there is a sense in which one agonizes about some of the things that are happening around us, the economy. But I am an eternal optimist, but please don't ask me why I would, under those circumstances, still be optimistic.
It springs eternal, does it not? Appreciate your time. This is the outgoing Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga.
EWN Business.
This EWN Business is brought to you by Bright. Bright doesn't just provide business insurance, they ensure your future success. Bright Insurance is a licensed insurer and authorized FSP. The Reserve Bank reducing key interest rate by 25 basis points to 7% yesterday. Muteo, you called it.
Yeah, and I'm glad it came out the way I called it. The South African Reserve Bank unanimously reducing its key interest rate by 25 basis points. The repo rate now at 7%, the lowest level since November of 2022. The prime lending rate, which is the rate banks use to charge consumers, is now at 10.5%. Now, the cut was widely anticipated despite concerns over the new U.S. tariff regime threatening to weaken an already troubled South African economy. The Reserve Bank said it's noted a stronger rand and more moderate inflation expectation, with June CPI showing headline inflation at 3% and core inflation at 2.9%.
AB InBev, are they in a happy place?
No, they're not. No one is pouring the drinks, if you will. Brewing giant Anheuser-Busch InBev says its second quarter sales volumes fell more than expected. The company was hit by weak demand in major markets like Brazil and China, adding to investor worries over industry growth and sending its shares to a 5-month low. AB InBev reported solid financial results in the second quarter despite the volume drop. Total volumes went down 1.9% in the second quarter, while approximately 67% of total volumes remained in growth at 0.7%.
Where's the rand?
Rand is bleeding. 18 Rand 23 against the dollar. 20 Rand 79 against the euro, and 24 Rand 4 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,293 an ounce. Platinum is down this morning at $1,282. Brent crude going up at $71.80 a barrel. More business after 8.
At Bright, we don't just provide business insurance. We insure your business's
future success.
Because your business is so much more than desks and computers and equipment, which is why we use our specialist expertise to tailor solutions for each client differently to ensure what's really important. So insure your businesses.
Financial security, BT
With Bright today, contact your broker or go to brightinsure.co.za to find out more. Bright, approach risk with purpose. Bright is a licensed insurer and authorized FSP.
Straight to the news desk we go. Sfiso Zulu, you're starting with the courts.
Yeah, that's right, Bongani. Gauteng Judge President Dustin Mlambo will from today assume his role as Deputy Chief Justice of the country. President Cyril Ramaphosa announced Mlambo's appointment last night after a recommendation from the Judicial Service Commission. The position has been vacant since Justice Mandisa Maya was appointed Chief Justice in September last year. Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga, who officially retired yesterday, had been acting Deputy Chief Justice. Khomotso Modise has more.
Dunstan Mlambo has been Judge President of the Gauteng Division of the High Court since November 2012, and he will now ascend to the second highest judicial position in the country. His appointment comes after a rigorous interview before the Judicial Service Commission last month. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the commission has enhanced the nation's confidence that Mlambo's appointment was firmly grounded on merit and fidelity to the Constitution. His spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya.
The President has also expressed to the Chief Justice his appreciation for the transparent, inclusive, and robust process undertaken by the JSC. This process exemplified the Commission's commitment to upholding the nation's constitutional values.
The President has wished Mlambo well in strengthening the rule of law. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
Justice Minister Mamloko Kubai has expressed outrage following the murder of a prosecutor attached to the New Brighton Magistrates Court in Gqeberha. Tracy Brown was shot by 4 men in front of her home yesterday in the presence of her partner and child. The NPA has described the killing as an attack on the rule of law and its tireless efforts to hold criminals accountable. It's still not clear why she was attacked, and the attack yesterday follows that of another prosecutor, Ilona Sombulula, from Engobo Magistrates Court, who was shot in April. The minister's spokesperson, Terence Manase.
Minister Mamloko Kubai condemns the attack, calls for urgent action, and urges the public to assist law enforcement. While the National Prosecuting Authority has measures in place to protect prosecutors a matter she recently briefed Parliament on. The minister stresses the urgent need to review and strengthen these protections, particularly in high-risk areas.
Dozens of traders have been found themselves out in the cold following the closure of the Marabastad retail market in Tshwane. Municipal officials, accompanied by Mayor Nasipi Moya, found vendors operating without a permit. The mayor says traders must abide by the Metro's bylaws.
This small market is the property of the city. It was leased to somebody, and that person sublet to all these guys that are here. As a result, everyone who's operating at the market has no license to trade there, and they don't have the health certificate required for them to sell fruit and vegetables.
And 22 people have died in Angola following 2 days of protests against a fuel price hike. There was unrest and looting on Monday, the first day of the protest, which was called by taxi drivers who are opposed to the 1st of July increase in fuel costs. It was some of the worst unrest in several years in the country, which has been governed by the MPLA party since 1975. Police say nearly 200 people were injured in the violence and more than 1,200 people have been arrested. A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 4 and 7 degrees, peaking at highs between 19 and 21.
And in the traffic, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N12 as well as the R24 West between Barber Road and the Guinea interchange due to a major accident on the N12 West right near the Edenville Road exit. It's causing heavy delays. Please be on the lookout there.
The top story this hour, Gauteng Judge President Dunstan Mlambo will from today assume his role as Deputy Chief Justice of the country.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
You are suggesting that there must be accountability on the part of Hamas, which I agree with. But are we suggesting then that Israel just move on when they have killed innocent children and women in Gaza, thousands of them?
Well, right now the question is how do we put a stop to the situation? And yes, of course, in an ideal world, we would love to see accountability. But right now we have to make the humanitarian situation change on the ground.
You agree, though, that there must be accountability. Israel must be held accountable for having conducted
the political solution first. The decision by all these countries that I mentioned is about a political solution.
And what if Israel doesn't even agree with that?
I have never said that it would be an easy path.
Ambassador David Martino.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Don't miss the remarkable, versatile and world-renowned Busgate Soweto String Ensemble at its annual performance featuring a wide range of popular music favorites from classical to amapiano. These young musicians will be joined by South Africa's charismatic diva, Sibongile Mngoma, singing jazz, blues and rock songs. The concert is taking place at the Linda Auditorium this Sunday, the 3rd of August at 3 p.m. Book now at Quicket.
Meet Uminatsi Nyaba, a powerhouse storyteller and after-graduate who earned her Bachelor of Arts in Motion Picture cum laude. From a young age, Uminatsi knew that storytelling was her calling, but financial hurdles nearly dimmed her dream. That all changed when she received the Hollywood Foundation's Future is Bright bursary. It lifted a huge weight off her shoulders and gave her the freedom to focus fully on her craft. She began making bold moves and creating incredible work, including her award-winning short film, which was selected for international screenings. Thanks to the Hollywood Foundation, Uminati is ready to tell the stories the world needs to hear. Follow the Hollywood Foundation social pages for more stories of stars on the rise. Sizofunda sonke.
Medical aid plans, they're normally like this.
So, you'll need to take this form and this. So don't forget this too. Okay, wait. Don't forget this one. Wait. Okay, done.
My back!
Sorry, sir. That's gonna have to come out of your savings.
At Bonitas, we make our plans simple, so they're easy to understand. We also offer a benefit booster and a range of other benefits that don't come off your savings. Visit bonitas.co.za when you need us. Bonitas, medical aid for South Africa. T's and C's apply.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. This is Tobile from Pinoni. Bongani, this morning, while I'm wishing Justice Madlanga farewell after his illustrious career, the man is really brilliant. I particularly am pleased to congratulate Justice Mlambo on being appointed as the the Deputy Chief Justice.
This is, of course, the former Gauteng judge president who effectively took office last week, Friday. Lots of new appointments. You'll remember, of course, the acting police minister, Professor Feroz Kachaliya, begins work today on the 1st of August. I guess it's just that kind of week. It was a real coup for us to have Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga, who was, of course, honored with tributes from various quarters for his significant contributions to South African jurisprudence and his role in the legal system. Even the likes of former President Thabo Mbeki were at that ceremony yesterday at the Constitutional Court. I think he leaves with some concerns. You could hear it in his voice when I said to him, Are you optimistic about our country and our democracy? And he says, well, I'm always an optimist, but you have to look around you. You have to look at what's going on. He's admitted that if commissions of inquiry are dragged through prolonged review processes, yes, it does blunt them. Its effectiveness, their effectiveness as a tool of accountability. Of course, people have the right to take them on review should they choose to do so. But what's the point? I mean, think of the Zondo Commission. It cost R1 billion, 4 years. And still the people who are implicated in its report are dragging its findings through review processes. And so people look at all of this and they say, is justice blind? Is justice for everyone? If I can't afford senior counsel, will I then get justice? And he concedes that, yes, whilst there are few firms who do pro bono work, what justice is it if it relies on charity?
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. It's your chance to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later, 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. Today's answer comes from Susan, who is in Northcliffe. Susan, what's today's answer,
Yes.
please?
Hi, Bongani. It's 10,000 Rand.
10,000 Rand is today's answer. And tell me, Susan, have you received a quote from Outsurance?
Well, I'm with Outsurance for the last 20 years.
You biscuit. How about 1,000 Rand? Not quite.
Thank you so
Not quite
much.
10,000. I don't have
Thank you
10,000.
so much.
You're welcome.
Obviously, it was 10,000.
Yeah, don't we all? 1,000 Rand coming your way, Susan, in Northcliffe. There you go. The answer is 10,000 Rand. Pray tell, what's the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
17 to 8, this EWN Sport is brought to you by R&B Corporate Banking. Ready, set, cash flow. And of course, if you want to see Cindy Paluta today on this bright Friday, just tune into our YouTube channel, 702 Breakfast Live. Cindy, good morning to you.
Morning, Bongani.
Let's start with the Cricket South Africa Awards.
Yes, because Keshav Maharaj and Nkololeko Mlaba were named Men's and Women's Cricket of the Year, with Kagiso Rabada Players Player, Themba Bavuma Test Player, and now retired Heinrich Klaasen was ODI Player of the Year. At the Oval in the 5th Test, India 204 for 6 at stumps. Nair's on 52. England could be without Wokes for the rest of the game as he left the field with a shoulder injury. While Zimbabwe resumed day 3 on 31 for 2 in their second innings, they trailed New Zealand by 127 after the Black Caps were 307 all out. In a T20 this morning, Pakistan beating the West Indies by 14 runs. At the World Swimming Champs, Peter Kutza's going for his second gold in the 200-meter backstroke final today at 10 to 2 this afternoon. Straight afterwards, Kayleen Corbett swims in the 200-meter breaststroke final. The local premiership season will start as scheduled after Moromo escaped being docked points and were fined 200,000 Rand instead. This for fielding incorrectly registered Monde Mpambaniso. The MTN 8 quarterfinal opens tomorrow with Orlando Pirates against Polokwane, followed by Sekone and TS Galaxy, while on Sunday, Stellenbosch is hosting Amazulu. Sundowns welcome Richards Bay. Currie Cup action tonight. The Cheetahs going for their first win of their campaign, hosting the Pumas, while tomorrow at Ellis Park, the Lions welcome Province, followed by the Bulls and Sharks. The Formula One's in Hungary this weekend. Ahead of the race, Max Verstappen confirming he'll stay at Red Bull next season, while Oscar Piastri goes into the weekend leading the driver standings by 16 points.
Not every weekend has been been perfect. I think just trying to put together a solid, consistent year is ultimately going to be an important thing. But I think the pace in the last few weekends, I've been very confident in and very proud of. I'm more than capable of continuing that for the rest of the year.
And MotoGP fans, Brad Binder will be in Sandton City tomorrow. You can meet him in the main court area from 10:30 a.m. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Feeling some lag in Sector 3?
Copy. Optimizing working capital. Ready. You're approaching a tight corner. Cash flow pressure ahead.
Low on liquidity. Supply pressure is building. Set.
Deploying cash injection in 3, 2, 1. Flow.
Nice move. Better supply chain control.
Lab time advantage. Faster cash cycles, leaner inventory, and optimized working capital.
Ready, set, cash flow. Corporate banking from RMB. RMB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
EWN Traffic.
14 to 8, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by the new Opel Grandland. With smart tech and striking design, it's German engineering on a grand scale. Test drive one today at your nearest Opel dealer. Amo, let's talk about Crown Gardens. There are massive delays in that area.
There is indeed, Bongani, due to an accident at Rifle Range and Xavier Street. So please be on the lookout if you're driving around this area. Try using the N12 rather towards areas like Rosettenville as well as Turffontein. If you're traveling towards Langlaagte, we've got delays along the Nasrec Road approaching Main Reef Road, while in Braamfontein, heavy traffic volumes along Smith Street, Solomon Street as well as Enoch-Sontonga Avenue. This is due to peak time delays. The M1 North is also backed up coming out of Boyson's Road towards Empire Road. So please be on the lookout, and if you find yourself in the backlog of the traffic this morning, please be patient. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Great entrance? Forget that. Make a grand entrance.
Grand!
Be late, make everyone wait, and be grateful they did. Peeps be rubbernecking, staring gormlessly like deer in your 50,000 intelligent LED headlights.
Grand!
Make a grand entrance in the new Opel Grandland, designed and made in Germany. Achtung, baby.
Grand!
It's even got massage seats.
Obergrand!
Visit opel.co.za for more.
To every 702 lander who laced up, showed up, and walked with us this past Sunday, thank you. The 702 family loved every moment, walking, talking, connecting with you on the route. You made the 2025 702 Walk the Talk one for the books, and we can't wait to do it all over again with you next year. So here's to you, 702 landers, and here's to the 2025 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is 10,000 Rand, let's go to Gyabetswe in Soshanguve. What's the question?
Morning, Bongani. The question is, how much fine was given to Deputy President Paul Mashatile for a failure to declare a diamond gift he received from Mark Liebenberg?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's just an unbelievable thing to even be talking about. He failed to declare it, he argues, was the reason. He says it was because he was waiting for a valuation on the diamonds. You know, what was it worth? So he didn't know what to declare because he didn't know what it was worth. That's why he declared it late, Paul Mashatile argues. It's the first sanction of this kind to a sitting deputy president. It really is quite extraordinary. Gabetsu Soshanguve, congratulations. You have won yourself 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. And I'm told Gabetsu is himself a member of Outsurance. Have you heard the latest news? Vincent, a 40-year-old man, wanted to save money on his car insurance premium, so he got a quote from Outsurance. Vincent now saves a massive 990 Rand a month on his 2022 Ford Ranger 2.2 litre. Get a quote today. See how much Outsurance could save you on your car insurance. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. You always get something out. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Mzansi, have you bought your Powerball ticket for the staggering 130
113 million rand estimated jackpot this Friday. Walala wasala. Play Powerball for the estimated 113 million rand jackpot today for your chance at winning life-changing millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529 hash for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. eTuba is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
So we did a thing, a full commitment kind of thing. We've partnered with Sixt to bring worldwide to your doorstep. So you see how that's a serious thing, because that's what you deserve. We know you're the GOAT, so premium it is. Premium service, premium vehicles, premium you, premium us. Sani Sixt is all about adding extra to ordinary. Extra reach, extra countries, so you can be extra premium worldwide. Be the greatest of all time and rent Sani Sixt.
Time for a performance review of my FNB Gold business account. Giving my business up to 30% back in e-bucks at Pick and Pay. No other card does this. It's real money back on expenses. I can even use e-bucks to buy supplies from Take-A-Lot. I must give you a corner office, but you're a bank card.
The FNB Gold business account. No other card works harder for your business because saving you costs is worth it. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and earn rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider.
This past Sunday, Joburg walked the talk together. Thousands stepped up, stepped out, and stepped forward. And none of it would have been possible without the incredible partners who walked this journey with us.
We as Freedom Park are excited. The highlight for us is the coming together of the diversity of South Africans from all walks of life. There could not have been a better partner for this walk, and we are coming back as Freedom Park. Prime Media 702, we are here and we are taking this further, we are taking this forward, because this walk, it's also about a national dialogue. It's about getting South Africans talking and reflecting as they walk.
A heartfelt thank you to every sponsor who made this year's 702 Walk the Talk possible. You powered the spirit of a city walking as one. The 702 Walk the Talk was hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
702
What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Time now for the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Bella.
Let's talk about the very first concert you took your kids to.
This was a cute little video to watch. So, I mean, if you remember your first concert, probably as an adult, I didn't go to any concerts when I was a young kid, because there probably weren't many around. But this youngster went to a Imagine Dragons concert. He was a massive fan of Imagine Dragons and is in one of the stadiums there in the US with his mum. And one of the songs that is his favorite song, and was played live. And his mother's filming the concert and the lead singer on stage, and then she pans to film her son who's sitting next to her. And you just see this kid's face. He's in absolute awe, and he's overcome with emotions. And then he looks at his mother, and she says, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And then he leans towards her, gives her a big hug, and he just, he gets all teary. So completely overwhelmed and overcome with emotion watching, a concert and his favorite band for the very, very first time. So, I mean, there's been lots of concerts that have been held over the years in South Africa. And I wanted to ask our listeners this morning, our 702 family, what was the first concert you went to with your children? And, did you go because you are a fan of the particular band and you wanted to introduce them and give them an experience? Or did you have to go because they were a big fan of whoever came to South Africa? So what was the concert and what was the experience like?
So it wasn't quite a concert, but I always make the joke that my daughter, for the longest time, believed she had once seen Michael Jackson live when she was a youngster. She's 16 now, so obviously that couldn't possibly be the case. But I took her to the Joburg Theatre to see one of those impersonators, and she was absolutely smitten. She thought she had seen the real thing, and she was too young for me to say, not quite the real Michael Jackson. So I let it be until her friends kept challenging her. You couldn't possibly have because. And eventually she was old enough to know the truth. Tell me about a petrol attendant trying to stop a really naughty motorist.
Yeah, I mean this happens all the time, right? So this guy's in a bakkie. He obviously has filled up with petrol, and as the petrol attendant is walking around to the driver's window to obviously get the card to make the guy to pay, this guy drives off. But before he drives off, the petrol attendant jumps into the back of the bakkie to, obviously say, well, you're not getting away. But now I have no idea what has happened to this guy who jumped into the back of the bakkie. If anybody has any more information on this, I'd love to know. But absolutely crazy, right? So that this guy had to jump into the back of a bakkie that sped off. Now, wherever they went, who knows? But the issue is here that we know lots of motorists drive away once the petrol attendant has put in the fuel. So what would be the best way to prevent this? Do you make you and I and everybody else, you got to pay before you get the petrol? Or what other innovative ways are there to prevent people from doing this? And these petrol attendants, if we've heard the stories that if they can't account for that money, it comes off their salaries.
Well, I know many service stations have security cameras, so I think almost every car that comes into, is it called the forecourt? I think that's the technical word.
Yeah, forecourt, yeah.
Every car that comes into the forecourt, they've got a recording of that registration, and obviously you can be tracked. And I think with so many security cameras around, say, a city like Johannesburg, you can be tracked. So I think it's not really the brightest idea to leave without paying at a service station. If you've got bright ideas of how this can be dealt with, let us know.
EWN Traffic.
This Eyewitness News Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance in partnership with 702-328. Amo?
Well, Bongani, delays on the N12 West. This is coming out of the Edenville area towards the Giluli's interchange. An accident has been reported there. It's a massive one, and it's causing long queues coming out of Barbara Road. There's also queuing traffic along the Maikwa North between Boysons Road and Empire Road. This is due to peak time delays. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Outsurance made it possible for us to travel more with the money that we save. 725. This is really real.
You are the biggest saver we've ever had.
2,794 Rand a month. It was the easiest switch ever. Get real.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and information online.
702. Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
Baphelile Sambo, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Bongani.
We asked the question earlier, do you have, should we say, less than scientific ways to predict the weather?
Do you know,
somebody in your family maybe?
I was talking to you off air, Bongani, and I said my way of telling is the birds. Those birds that go, I don't even want to say it, wow, wow, wow.
Oh, those birds. Well, that's usually because it's just about to rain.
Well, that's the only way I can, safely say, no, it is going to rain because those birds.
Okay, so there's no Tokoza Kogo.
No, not yet. Hopefully, maybe let me grow a little bit.
All right, what else you got?
Bongani, the major story today, what's trending on our WhatsApp is the U.S. President's tariff announcement. 702 lenders are saying they're not surprised. They're just concerned of how this is going to impact their pockets.
Yeah, I think we knew it was coming. Minister Tao telling us yesterday there is no deal.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Our big interview, there's well wishes pouring in for the retirement of Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga. Many are saying that he must just go rest and enjoy the fruits of his labor after years of dedicated service to the judiciary.
Of course, judges, although they do retire, they must be available should they be required for such things as the Commission of Inquiry that he is about to chair. And some of you may be disappointed that we didn't touch on that, but of course it just makes sense because he cannot make public pronouncements on a process he will chair that hasn't yet officially started. Fezile on YouTube says, so what we're really hearing here is that we should first read the Constitution and the rules of law to find cracks and proceed to those specific crimes wherever the cracks are. I don't think that's quite what the justice meant, but also some reaction to the Paul Mashatile issue.
Yes, there's been so many reactions to Paul Mashatile that he has been fined 10,000 rand by Parliament for failing to disclose or declare that diamond gift by Louis Lanebeck. Stephen Grootes, presenter of the Money Show, also shared his thoughts, and this is what he had to say.
What a bad week for Paul Mashatile. I mean, as you say, Bongani, I'm completely with you on this. Why is the deputy president hanging around getting diamonds from someone like Louis Liebenberg, who we know is crooked? I mean, there's no better way for us to describe it. I mean, I kind of, we let the court process, but I've kind of no doubt of the outcome. It's such a strange thing. And the paperwork, I mean, the best possible explanation you can give for Paul Mashatile, that he can give, is to say that the paperwork is all sloppy. I don't have this house, now I do. I know I was waiting for the diamond. I mean, it's kind of dog ate my homework stuff,
I mean, yeah, you can ask so many questions. Why was Louis Liebenberg visiting the Mashatiles? Where does this diamond come from? How was it? Where does it come from? What is its source? Who paid for it? There's so many, many questions. More of your responses coming up.
This is EWN.
POSA prepares to welcome Professor Kachalia to the police ministry, and the Kilani Country Club explains why it's paying R2 for rent. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Professor Feroz Kachalia is set to be sworn in as Acting Minister of Police today. Kachalia will be replacing Senzo Mkhunu, who has been placed on indefinite leave following corruption allegations made against him. President Cyril Ramaphosa will facilitate the swearing-in ceremony today at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. Tabiso Goba reports.
Anti-apartheid activist, law scholar and politician, Feroz Kachalia has balanced these three roles throughout his entire life. At the turn of democracy, Kachalia was part of the first cohort of provincial legislature members in Gauteng, representing the ANC. After about 15 years serving in different portfolios in the Gauteng government, Kachalia stepped away from politics and into academics. In 2012, Kachalia was appointed as a professor at the Wits University of Law. He comes into the position of acting police minister at a time when public faith in the country's law enforcement agencies is at an all-time low. He is expected to provide a steady temporary hand as the country waits in anticipation for the SAPS Commission of Inquiry. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
The country is waking up to a major trade shakeup with a 30% US tariff on South African exports coming into effect from today. New US tariffs on imports from dozens of countries kick in today, hitting products with duties ranging from 10 to 40%. The move comes after President Donald Trump signed an executive order which he says is aimed at protecting American industries and reducing the trade deficit. Political economist Dale McKinley says local industries are bracing for major losses as the impact could be massive for many of them.
We know that the sectors that are going to be most affected, we basically have the agricultural sector, particularly citrus, the wine sector to some extent. We have the automotive sector, particularly manufacturing components and car components, and we have the steel and aluminium sectors as well. So those are some of the key ones.
McKinley explains what this all means.
Essentially what's going to happen is that the goods that we have been exporting to the United States, oftentimes under AGOA, fairly duty-free, are now going to attract this 30% tariff. And that's going to make them less competitive in the United States market, depending upon where other similar products, for example, from countries like Peru in South America and others are coming from. Our exports will be less competitive and therefore will lose market share. That's the basics of it.
Global watchdog, the Financial Action Task Force, has completed its on-site visit to South Africa as government now waits to be considered for removal from the notorious grey list. South Africa was added to the list in February 2023 for failing to have enough measures in place to prevent money laundering and terror financing. Government says it's now completed the 22 action items imposed by the FATF to tighten its anti-corruption systems. Lindsay Dentlinger takes a look.
The FATF's Africa Joint Group conducted its on-site assessment on Tuesday and Wednesday in Pretoria, the last step before South Africa is considered for removal from the grey list. The National Treasury says the visit included meetings with government officials and representatives of financial and non-banking institutions. The group also met with Deputy Finance Minister David Masondo and Deputy Justice Minister Andries Nel, both of whom assured the FATF of the political commitment to continue improving the anti-money laundering and combating of financing of terrorism system. This week's visit follows a June announcement that South Africa had worked its way through the action plan to rectify the system, including the passing of legislation last year. The FATF's Africa Group will now compile a report for consideration by the plenary in October to decide South Africa's fate. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And the Killarney Country Club says it has provided great value for the Johannesburg Metro. Following criticism, it has been paying rent of R2 a year since 1970. Yesterday, the Johannesburg Council adopted a motion to start a public participation process that will determine whether it sells or renegotiate its lease agreement with the golf club. Located in the leafy suburb of Houghton, the club sits on more than 111 hectares of municipal-owned land. Tabiso Goba reports.
The Killarney Country Club says when it was leased the land back in 1970, there was an agreement it would maintain and upkeep it at its own risk. The club's president, Darren Folds, says they have done this and in turn attracted investment in Houghton and its surrounding areas. Folds says the R2 a year rent has not spared us from the financial difficulties currently facing all sports clubs across the country, saying they last recorded a profit about 15 years ago.
I think at face value, if you see a club paying R2, you're like, oh, that's ridiculous, how can that be? But ultimately the history of it is that it was sold and leased back for the benefit of the city and its residents on a nominal basis because we fulfill the management function that the city clearly can't fulfill themselves.
The club says it's open to renegotiating commercial terms that will be beneficial to it and the city of Johannesburg, including an increase on its rent. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $3,293.03 an ounce. The rand is at 18.21 to the dollar, 24.05 to the pound, 20.80 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $71.79 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes on the N12 West between Barber Road and the Kilulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North approaching the Baklu turnoff coming out of Marlborough Drive, while travelling on the N1 South delays between the Baklu interchange and Olifantsfontein Road.
In your sport, Peter Kutz and Kayleen Corbett going for gold at the World Swimming Champs this afternoon from 1:45. It's the MTN8 quarterfinals this weekend. Tomorrow, Pirates, and on Sunday, Sundowns in action. And Max Verstappen commits to Red Bull for next season.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 19 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Professor Firoz Kachalia is set to be sworn in as acting Minister of Police today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Gosh, what are your thoughts on this Killarney Club story? Welcome to 702 Breakfast. If you've just joined us, my name is Bongani Bingwa. So here we go. The Killarney Country Club made an arrangement with the city of Joburg, or Joburg municipality, such as it would have been known, in 1970, 55 years ago. Since then, they've been paying rent of R2 a year. Now the City Council in Joburg says we need to renegotiate the lease agreement with the golf club. There are even conversations about whether we should have one there at all. Mutewa, your thoughts?
I think keep the green spaces.
we live in a city that's quite concrete, and there's not a lot of green spaces to use and go around. But I think what should be reworked is the rent agreement from 1970s, because the club does take membership fees, and they're quite steep, and I'm sure they can pay their way when it comes to rent, especially if it would benefit the city of Johannesburg.
Here's the difficulty. Green spaces for whom? As you say, membership fees are a thing. I can't just go to the Kilani Club without being a member. I mean, of course I can, but it won't be for the low cost.
You'll be a visitor, like a day visitor.
Do you know what I mean? We need green spaces, I agree. But then surely those green spaces should be accessible to all the Joburg residents, and not for the select few that can pay annual membership fees.
Because it's been run like a club and a private club for a long time, that's why I'm saying those that are paying the fees should pay to the city. 2 rand I don't think is quite enough for the amount of land they have.
Eyewitness News ran a clip earlier. I think it's Brett Heron, I'm not sure, but it was somebody from the Good Party saying, we've got enough we've got enough golf courses in Johannesburg. Why not build affordable housing?
But so do we have enough housing? We have a lot of build structures as opposed to the greens.
We can never have enough housing in Johannesburg. People that's why we've got so many people who are on waiting lists for government provided housing. You know what the hypocrisy of all of this is? Just go with me for a minute. There are a lot of people who will tell you about apartheid spatial planning and how everybody lives far from where they work. And there are reports out that tell us that many South Africans spend significant portions of their income just to get to and from work. Until the affordable housing is built next to you, until the complexes spring up around your Lani area, no pun intended, then suddenly, what about our property values? Clutch pearls, right? What do you think? Should the city of Joburg take away the Kilani golf course, do something else entirely with it? Is it a middle-class thing for Matera and I to say, but we need green spaces? Green spaces for whom?
You're with Bongani Bingwa on 702.
Taking your calls on 011-883-0702.
Kosnati, you're in Benoni. What are your thoughts on this? Good morning.
Hi, Bongani, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you too, my man. Bongani, good luck, my brother. That's all I want to say. These are some of those legacy agreements or contracts which happened prior to 1994. I will give you a classic example. If you look at the land where the Mbombela Stadium was built, it's owned by an individual. It was sold at next to nothing prior to 1994. The same applies to some pocket of land in Wheatbank. Those were sold to some individual, and now when the government has to build something, they have to renegotiate with that guy to buy from that guy. Who spent next to nothing buying that land? I think the city of Johannesburg must just take back that land, man.
Well, it is theirs. There's no question of the city not owning. The city owns the land, but this is an agreement that was made way back when, in 1970.
Exactly.
Right? So the club has been paying a nominal fee. And of course, the idea was that the club would be the one that would develop the golf course. They would be the ones that would maintain the grounds. It was all about green spaces. So all of the obligation to keep it in tip-top shape would be on the club itself. And presumably then the club would make the argument that the way they do that is through things like membership fees and making sure they are generating some kind of income to be able to keep that space as beautiful as it looks when you drive past on the highway. And now the city of Joburg is saying, let's rethink this.
Negotiate, man. 2 rents per annum. No, it ain't fair, man.
You're not impressed? All right.
No, not at all.
Gosinati in Benoni. What are your thoughts? I mean, it's not as if the country club takes all of this money and lines their own pockets. All of that money, presumably, goes towards maintaining the green spaces, Muteo, you are talking about.
It's lush, it's green. I've been there once before.
Played a round or
as
two.
a day visitor. I'm not a member at all because the fees are quite steep. But they take good care of it. It's a good space to be in. You can spend the day there and just smell the great air and have a good time.
And look at what happened with the bowling club. Hey? The Joburg Zoo Bowling Club. Used to be a fantastic place. All around Jan Smuts, that little bend near the zoo. There would be cars parked all over there. People would go play bowls. But also there was the bowling clubhouse, where a lot of students, for example, would go after exams. It was just a tradition, particularly for WITS. I want to say RAU, but UJ students. And since that lease was removed, taken away, that clubhouse is derelict. It's dilapidated.
Hollowed out.
Right?
That's where
Homeless people moved in. They were burning fires to keep warm inside the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that would be the fate of the Killarney Country Club, the clubhouse, years from now?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Having cameras at a petrol station doesn't really help. We had our card clone, and the card was used for to buy in the petrol station and put petrol in. The police had the information, they had the people on camera, and there was nothing done about it. Absolutely nothing. Case closed. 3 months down the line with all the evidence that they needed. So it doesn't help we have cameras and then the police force doesn't do anything about it. Shane from Boksburg.
Hi, good morning, Bongani. It's Pat here from Spraidview. About the petrol. I stay in Spraidview. So I put my petrol, there's 2 BPs here, BP stations, petrol stations. So what these guys do, when you get there, you tell them how much you want to put in petrol and you pay before they fill in your tank. That's what they do. I don't know about other garages. So that's much safer for them to do that.
I know, I've traveled quite a bit. I know in Africa they make you pay before you fill up. So maybe this is something that South Africa can also adopt. Thank you, Karen from Four Ways.
Bongani, sometimes when it's like you out of touch with reality. Yes, there's cameras, but not everywhere. When I stay in the suburbs, imagine that poor petrol attendant, like if someone pays 150, do you think policemen will be chasing this guy to find and track them on the road where they were for 150 rand?
Okay, why am I catching strays? Out of touch because I live in the suburbs. Not every petrol station has cameras to be able to capture footage of motorists. And you heard the other one saying that even when they do, the police don't necessarily do anything about it. I concede, that's a point I may not have considered. But you out of touch? That's a little strong. Karen says, in Africa, you pay. Shame. I know what you meant, Karen. I know what you meant. You meant on the rest of the continent. Because, of course, Nazi, we are in Africa. But I get the point that you are making. Sometimes, I suppose then you would have to... How would you know? I mean, if you've got... You might know what your full tank should more or less cost you. But it's if, for example, I don't know, you want to fill up 3/4 or, the price of fuel is going up this evening. And so you want to quickly fill up. You don't always know how much you're going to need. Do you?
No, I think the practicality of it is it won't work for me.
But I suppose if you are an owner of a fuel service station, you'd rather not take the risk.
Let's talk.
We're listening.
So my child's first concert experience was not necessarily a concert, but I took her to sound check with me for one of my last shows recently at Sonnage, and she got to go up on stage and play the drums with them coming through the PA and feel the power of that kick shaking her chest. It was quite an amazing experience to just see her react to such a powerful switch of sound. The way she looked when she hit the drum and the whole room vibrated was quite an amazing thing to see. It was very special.
Hi, Bongani and team. Lucretia here. Many years ago, I took my daughter to go and see the Venga Boys because that was her thing. It was the biggest load of nonsense I'd ever seen, but she enjoyed it.
And sometimes, as a parent, that's all you need.
EWN Traffic.
20 after 8. Let's catch up with the roads now. Some of the delays earlier, I think, was the Crown interchange area, Amo.
Yes,
that
that's
accident
correct.
cleared?
That's correct, Bongani. It was right near the Rifle Range Road and Xavier Street. It's been cleared. Traffic is flowing there. But if you're still heading towards Braamfontein, do expect heavy traffic volumes on the M1 North. This is between the Boysons Road exit and Empire Road. There's still more traffic delays within the area just as you head towards Braamfontein along Enoch Sontonga Avenue, 7th Street, Smith Street, as well as Solomon Street. So please be on the lookout if you're traveling around those areas. I'll have more updates for you. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Whenever you hear deep in the heart and art of jazz, think Sia Makuzeni with the big band, Jasmine Horn, Alun Wad, The Baylor Project, Jose James sings Badu, Umusangare, Esperanza Spalding, Michelle Dugiocello, Elaine, Tezo, Munei, Mondli Ngobo, and many other spectacular icons. Think Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, 4 stages at the Santon Convention Center, 26th, 27th, and 28th September, and take me there. Book via Ticketmaster.
Celebrate Women's Month in style with Hollywood Bets and Spinner Zonke. Take fearless shots at fantastic fortunes with our special selection of fierce female-themed games. Kick back, relax, and entertain yourself with the ultimate slot escape. Let Heart of Rio put you in a carnival mood. Indulge in anime fantasy with Nine Tails, or embark on fire-breathing adventures in Dragon Kingdom. Supercharge your slots and bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
Imagine 30% off everything for your garden. This week only at Stodell's Garden Centres. This special offer is just for Stodell's Garden Club members. Not a Stodell's Garden Club member yet? Simply sign up at Bryanston, Ferndale or Menlo Park and start saving right away. No waiting, no catch. Drop in and see why there's such a buzz about Stodell's. Hurry, offer ends 3rd August. Stodell's Garden Centres. Create happiness.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Paul Molapiani's chief economist at Alex Forbes Investments. And Paul, firstly, the interest rate announcement, 25 basis points.
Inflation remains very low at 3%. I mean, yes, it ticked up, but it had been below the target for 3 consecutive months. Yes, the expectation is that inflation would trend higher in the coming months, but the fundamentals were pretty much supportive of a cut.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, honored as the best bank for ESG in Africa and South Africa by Euro Money Awards for Excellence 2025. Your story matters. ABSA is a registered FSP.
702. The World View
with Adam Gilchrist.
Let's catch up now with news from elsewhere in the world. It is deal day, Adam Gilchrist. We've been slapped with 30%, but we're not the only ones.
Absolutely not. No, I mean, it's most of the world. And in some cases, actually, a delay to next Thursday. So we thought all the tariffs would come in today, but no. But I think it's only 10, maybe 12 deals that have been done. They promised 90 deals in 90 days, the Trump administration. Well, they've done a dozen, maybe, and some big ones. But overall, yes, those tariffs are slapping in quite a few places. Canada, for instance, has got 35% tariffs. They were 25%, but about 3 hours ago, they went up. And also, Donald Trump saying that Canada's deal is under threat because they're about to recognize Palestine as a state. So nothing to do with leveling up the market, but about punishment for politics. Likewise, India, which faces 25% tariffs, but also, quote, an unspecified penalty because they've been dealing with Russian oil and weapons. Brazil getting 50% tariffs and indeed personal sanctions against a Brazilian judge. But this is all about them taking to court the ex-president Jair Bolsonaro, who is a mate of Donald Trump. So some of these are about leveling up, some are about stopping the, quote, rip-off, and some are, of course, a way of flexing national muscle over personal disapproval. I don't like him, therefore he's going to have to pay. Once upon a time, this was all very quietly done behind closed doors and private phone calls, and now it's just played out, isn't it, for everyone to see.
Makes me want to break into song, Adam. There's an old anti-apartheid struggle song that says, "What have we done?" Now, let's talk about the UK returning stolen goods. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to South Africa, though, to India. The London auction house Sotheby's has basically done the right thing under extreme pressure from the Indian government and others, in particular Buddhists, because back in 1898, William Claxton Pepe had an estate in India. And on his estate, he found a load of jewels, 1,800 pearls, rubies, sapphires, gold sheets, very close to the birthplace of Buddha. Therefore, there's a religious link between the jewels and Buddha. Sotheby's has finally agreed, because they were in a private estate for all that time and hardly seen by anyone for decades, frankly, but they have agreed they won't now auction them. They have sold them instead to a huge conglomerate in Mumbai called Godrej Industries for an undisclosed sum. So an Indian company has bought them. Choose your figure, put a lot of zeros on, and that's where you are. In some ways, they've done the right thing. In other ways, that's basically like somebody nicking your mobile phone and then selling it back to you, or your car stereo once upon a time and then selling it back to you. There is something rather embarrassing about it as well, isn't there?
Yes, indeed. I mean, we've got to talk about the pillaging that went on during the colonial era, because that's really what it was. All right, let's talk about, I mean, they're bad enough as normal, but tell me about radioactive wasps, Adam.
Yeah, just saying that gives me a shiver. I'm not a fan of wasps, I have to say. Although somebody did once tell me that wasps, when they're bugging you on picnics and stuff, it's them at the end of their life, finally released from their duties in the nest and being playful and finally getting out there and having a life. I thought, oh, that's one way of looking at a wasp. And then I got stung by one on the lip. And again, went back to just hating the damn things. But here in South Carolina, at a nuclear bomb factory site, or I should say a former nuclear bomb factory site, still very much full of radioactivity, and therefore a no-go zone, but not for the wasps who built a nest inside. Workers discovered the wasp's nest next to some tanks with liquid nuclear waste inside. They put in a probe into the nest. I imagine the wasps thought it was a giant stinger coming in or something. Anyway, they put in a probe and realized that the nest and therefore the wasps had 10 times the accepted level of radiation. It does sound like a discarded episode of a superhero movie, doesn't it? In the end, they took the whole nest away, bagged it up and daubed nuclear waste on it. And I'm afraid it's a sorry end for the wasps. But you have got to wonder, maybe in another world, a radioactive wasp grows to 1,000 times the size and terrorizes New York. I feel another superhero movie coming on.
Or we could call you, Adam, the Wasp Man. Tell me, which lip was it? Was it your upper one? And was it stiff?
It was the lower one. It was very trembly.
We'll leave it there for today's Worldview.
Happy Friday, Mr. Bingwa and 702 Lenders. Many thanks to Major Prophet Moteo for a spot-on prediction on the interest rate cuts. Iyabulela Ilali. Thanks for a great show. Sebo in Boxburg.
Morning, Bongs. Morning, team. Bongs. Moteo, can you foresee that I'm winning the Powerball this coming Friday, the 113 or 130? JT from Soshanguve. Please tell me, my man.
EWN Business.
Tell my number.
Only if
it's
you get
111 million.
13.
Sweetie, I'll give you half. Promise you now. All right, on to serious stuff now. The Reserve Bank Those cuts, of course, are all about South Africa's growth forecasts. Those tariffs, though, will bite.
Yeah, the South African Reserve Bank says with economic activity weak and with higher US tariffs placed on South Africa from today, growth is revised down from 1.2% to just 1% this year. The central bank says there are risks that permanently higher tariffs or adverse geopolitical developments could cause more disruption to the global economy. So from their view, South Africa is not going to grow by much this year. Now, despite the threat of higher duties, the SARB unanimously cut its key interest rates by 25 basis points to 7, the lowest level since November of 2022. The prime lending rate is now at 10.5%. That's the rate that you're charged by your bank or whoever you take out a loan from. The Reserve Bank says it made its decision based on a stronger rand and more moderate inflation expectations, with June CPI showing headline inflation of just 3%.
Beer, clearly not always the poison of choice.
Yeah, the market's not drinking anymore. This complaint has been going on since 2023.
Or they're just not drinking beer.
Beer is the main, isn't it? Brewing giant Anheuser-Busch InBev says its second quarter sales volumes fell more than expected. The company was hit by weak demand in major markets like Brazil and China, adding to investor worries over industry growth and sending its shares to a 5-month low. Now, AB InBev reported solid financial results despite the drop in volumes. Its earnings before deductions were at 6.5%. Total volumes went down 1.9% in the second quarter. The maker of brands including Corona, Black Label, and Stella Artois were down 11.2%, hitting their lowest share value since February, heading for their biggest single-day decline since 2020.
All right, where's the rand?
Rand at 18 Rand 20 cents against the US dollar, 20 Rand 80 cents against the euro, and at 24 Rand 3 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $3,297 an ounce, or platinum is up more than 0.5% at $1,292. Brent crude at $71.70 a barrel. That's your business this morning. A wrap of the week's business from Stephen Grootes later this afternoon.
No, there's no earthquake outside. That was my phone falling on my desk. Apologies for that. Sfisa Zulu, are your ears quite all right?
I'm okay. I was a bit worried there.
Tell us about the finance minister.
Bongani, Godongwana says he's not yet able to appoint a pension fund expert from outside of government to be the chairperson of the Public Investment Corporation. Godongwana says the law needs to change first before he can implement a long-standing recommendation by the PIC Commission that recommended an independent non-executive chairperson be appointed. Godongwana was responding to a written parliamentary question on how far he's gone in appointing an outside expert to chair the country's biggest asset manager. Babalo Ndenza reports.
The PIC Commission on Party Commission of Inquiry examined the period between January 2015 and August 2018, focusing on potential misconduct by PIC directors and employees. The Commission also made recommendations regarding the governance and the structure of the PIC. One of the recommendations was the appointment of an independent chairperson who is not the Deputy Minister of Finance, but someone with expertise in pension funds and financial markets. But Minister Enoch Godongwana says an appointment of an independent and non-executive chairperson who is not the Deputy Minister of Finance or another Deputy Minister cannot be implemented at this stage. He says this is due to the legislative requirements of the PIC Act that provides that the minister must designate the Deputy Minister of Finance or in consultation with Cabinet, any other Deputy Minister in the economic cluster as the chairperson of the board. He says the Act must first be amended to give effect to the recommendations of the Commission. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
Leaders in the property sector say the latest 25 basis point cut in the repo rate is expected to hand the country's property market a welcoming boost. The Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee unanimously voted to cut the repo rate yesterday after its monthly meeting in July. Inflation has been consistently within or below the central bank's 3 to 6% target range, even hitting 2.8% in April and May before a slight uptick to 3% in June. The currency has remained fairly stable against the dollar despite global uncertainty caused by higher US tariffs. Noel Tambo reports.
The cumulative rate cut of 1.25% since the cycle started will make home loans more affordable, and property buyers will find it slightly easier to qualify, opening more doors to home ownership. The repayment on a bond of 1 million rands over 20 years will now be reduced by around 168 rands. Home owners with a 2 million rand bond will save almost 350 rands. Consumers on the higher end of the spectrum will save close to 900 rands on repayment costs for a 5 million rand bond over 20 years. CEO of Jowett Properties, Herschel Jowett, says the reprieve on the cost of servicing debt, including car and credit card repayments, will continue to have a positive effect on consumer confidence, which is also a key driver on the residential market. While he also welcomes the impact on disposable income for homeowners and buyers, Chairman of the Seif Property Group, Samuel Seif, says bolder rate cuts are still needed. Nogukhanya Mdambo, Eyewitness News.
And the City of Tshwane's newly introduced cleansing levy has been set aside by the Gauteng High Court following a challenge by lobby group AfriForum. In May, Tshwane passed its budget for the current financial year, which included a new 194 Rand a month tariff for customers using private waste collection. In its papers, AfriForum says the capital was unfairly taxing residents who established their own means to dispose of their waste because of the metro's inefficiencies. In a ruling handed down yesterday, the High Court declared the levy unlawful, ordering the city to immediately stop billing residents and reimburse those it already has. The DA's Jackie Ays says this is a victory for the residents of Tshwane.
In February this year, the DA started advocating to the ANC government to not introduce any new taxes on our residents. Since then, we have repeatedly warned the government of the day to not use the residents of Tshwane as cash cows.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 19 and 21 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 South towards Midrand between the Baku interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. There's also queuing traffic in Paulshof along Witkoppen Road. This is due to an accident that happened right near Madlanga Avenue. It's causing delays. Please be on the lookout.
The top story this hour, the finance minister says he's not yet able to appoint a pension fund expert from outside of government to be chairperson of the PIC.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Are you of the view that it's simply too high for consumers and for workers in this country?
It's been far too high for too long. And if we want to reduce unemployment, we have to get to an economic growth rate of 3%. The repo rate alone won't achieve that, but it can help nudge us in the right direction, and it can help make it easier for people to survive. Workers have been struggling to manage with the rising cost of living, from electricity prices to fuel and transport and food, all of which have increased far above the normal inflation rate.
Matthew Parks.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Don't miss Buscade's one and only Joburg appearance in 2025. The remarkable, versatile and world-renowned Buscade Soweto String Ensemble will be performing a wide range of popular favorites from classical to amapiano. They'll be joined by South Africa's charismatic divas Bongile Mngoma singing jazz, blues and rock songs. The concert takes place at the Linda Auditorium on Sunday, the 3rd of August at 3 p.m. Book now at Quicket.
Mzansi, have you bought your Powerball ticket for the staggering 113 million rand estimated jackpot this Friday? Walala wasala. Play Powerball for the estimated 113 million rand jackpot today for your chance at winning life-changing millions. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
At Bright, we don't just provide business insurance. We insure your business's
future success.
Because your business is so much more than desks and computers and equipment, which is why we use our specialist expertise to tailor solutions for each client differently to ensure what's really important. So insure your businesses.
Financial security
with Bright today. Contact your broker or go to brightinsure.co.za to find out more. Bright. Approach risk with purpose. Bright is a licensed insurer and authorized FSP.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Bongani, the US has made their position clear from day one.
on South Africa with these tariffs. We shouldn't be surprised or be complaining about it. BEE must go. Expropriation without compensation must go. There are numerous things. They're quite clear on it. What has changed from our side? Has anything gone? Has there been any attempt to try and appease them for the sake of our poor people that are going to suffer under these things? No. BE kills the economy in any case. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if more tariffs were on their way. And those sanctions they were talking about. This is just the start.
Good morning, Bongani. This is Theo from Tutuza. You see, this tariff thing, Yaga Donald Trump, I think it's high time that South Africa has actually grown to be independent from USA. Let's reciprocate what Donald Trump is doing, and we capacitate the farmers and the importers of the likes of wheat and soya beans and any other raw material to actually be produced in South Africa. Let's cut the umbilical cord from USA, because he's not going to stop. It's only that we have to react as well, and we go on with our life. We don't need Ford cars, any other things we can get from other countries. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. Trust you guys are well. Trust you are blessed. Bongani, we need to call those that had secret meetings with Donald Trump's White House, the Solidarities, and all those guys to come and give us solutions now, because they are the cause of this 30% increase in tariffs. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I don't think the guys who went on that disinformation campaign necessarily care all that much about the rest of us and what life might look like now that we're under these tariffs introduced by Donald Trump. And you can make the argument we need to be more independent, but the issue here isn't that we're producing, but who's buying. You can't just overnight replace the American consumer. That's exactly the problem that is faced by many of our producers. The issue here isn't whether we need to produce more, but where are we going to sell what we produce? I think the voice note before, Theo, didn't quite say who you were. All right, so let's say that it is BEE and expropriation without compensation and all the laundry list of things that you mention. What's Brazil's problem? They're at 50%. Laos is at 50%. Canada, India, Vietnam, Japan, all of them getting these tariffs from the US. You're going to accuse them of being punished for BEE or transformation as well?
EWN Sport.
Cindy Paluta, what's your favorite stroke to swim?
Great question. I haven't swum in a very long time, I must be honest.
Is it a few months for the winter, or as in?
No. Have you ever done swimming training? Like you get into the pool at the Virgin Active and now you're going to swim a couple of lengths, right? So I always used to, my kids used to do swimming training and they do like 8 lengths for a warm-up.
So you know when I did it, when Sam Cowan
did it. And she's still swimming.
Yeah. When she first started doing it, I remember going to Virgin Active thinking, oh, okay, I want to be like Sam Cowan. Yeah.
And then you're just going to do like an 8-lap warm-up, and after 2 laps, you're like, oh my God, this is how I die.
The half a lap.
This is how I die. I do like freestyle and breaststroke because those are just easy. And definitely not butterfly because it is inhumane. It is humanly impossible for your body to move in so many different directions with different things going on all at the same time simultaneously.
All right, talking about swimming, let's talk about Peter Coetzee.
Yes, because Peter Coetzee is one of 2 South Africans going for gold this afternoon. He's swimming in the 200-meter backstroke final at the World Swimming Champs. That will be around 10 to 2, followed by Kayleen Corbett, who swims in the 200-meter breaststroke final. MTN8 quarterfinals open tomorrow with Pirates against Polokwane at 3. On Sunday, Sundowns welcome Richards Bay. Sundowns haven't won a domestic cup trophy since 2022. Defender Keanu Cupido.
So we spoke about it in the camp. We spoke about the first game. That's very important. Like it sets the tone for the whole season going forward. And for us, we feel like if we can get this trophy over and done with, it also lifts up the players, the mood in camp, the confidence. So we feel like we want to win this trophy as well.
Marimba Hurmagaland was found guilty of fielding an incorrectly registered player. They escaped being docked points and have been fined 200,000 rand. In the fifth test, England stressing over Chris Wokes, who left the field with a shoulder injury. India resumed day 2 on 204 for 6 at stumps. Nair is on 52. At home, Keshav Maharaj and Nonkululeko Mlaba were named South Africa's men's and women's cricketer of the year. That was at last night's Cricket South Africa Awards. Well, at the World Championship of Legends, South Africa beating Australia by 1 run in the semi-final. They'll play Pakistan in tomorrow's final. The Formula One is in Hungary this weekend, where Piastri leads the driver standings by 16 points. But the talk is Max Verstappen confirming he'll stay at Red Bull next season. Adamant he was never moving.
People are waffling so much, throughout the whole season, while the only one that actually can or should speak is not speaking. That's me. And I do that on purpose because it makes no sense to start throwing things around. Some people just like to stare at the pot. Some people just like to create drama. But for me, it's always been quite clear. And also for next year, I'm discussing with the team already the plans, the things that we want to change for next year.
In international rugby tomorrow, the British and Irish Lions going for a series sweep over Australia. That's the third and final test starting at midday. In the Currie Cup tonight, the Cheetahs host the Pumas. And then tomorrow at Ellis Park, the Lions are hosting Province, followed by the Bulls and the Sharks. And then former NBA star Gilbert Arenas has been arrested and charged with allegedly running an illegal high-stakes poker ring out of his home in the LA area. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
This past Sunday, Joburg walked the talk together. Thousands stepped up, stepped out, and stepped forward. And none of it would have been possible without the incredible partners who walked this journey with us.
As a Kwele, we really had a good vibe. We had a lot of people come through, which is nice with an event like this. We have a lot of exposure. They're here for a reason. They're not just here for the exercise. There's a ground behind them being here, and we standing together with them in that. It's nice getting your name out there, but community upliftment, that's something that we stand for ourselves. Being part of Walk the Talk, encouraging people by being present. So definitely, yes, as a Kwele, we'll be back.
A heartfelt thank you to every sponsor who made this year's 702 Walk the Talk possible. You powered the spirit of a city walking as one. The 702 Walk the Talk was hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
News just in. Pinky, a 60-year-old woman, slashed 870 Rand a month of a car insurance premium. That's right. Pinky switched to OUTsurance and now saves a mind-blowing 870 Rand a month on her 2020 Kia Seltos 1.6. OUTsurance clients always get something out. Get a quote today and see how much OUTsurance could save you on your car insurance. Call 0800 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
When your internet connection fails, does it really matter how fast it is? Business class internet is built for businesses. With remote monitoring, that means faster problem resolution and a backup LTE connection that keeps you online. Your company deserves business class internet because just reboot the router isn't a business strategy. Find reliability at vodacombusiness.co.za. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Further together. Vodacom Business.
Did you ever work in the UK? If you did for at least 3 years and you're under 67, you can get a guaranteed UK state pension worth up to 5 million Rand over a typical retirement for just a small payment directly to UK revenue. Most people get 40 Rand back for every Rand they pay in. There's a big queue at UK revenue as this opportunity may end soon, so act fast. Call Extra Pension in Cape Town or see extrapension.com. Mind your UK pension and it'll mind you. Service fees apply.
EWN Traffic.
Right, let's wrap up the morning's traffic. Amo, it's been a busy one.
A very busy one indeed, with a lot of accidents on the roads this morning. If you're traveling in Kempton Park, we've got another one reported on the R21 North right after Atlas Road. Delays of about 15 minutes there. Please be on the lookout. And if you're traveling on the N12 West as well as the R24 West, delays between Indigo Road and the Gidulis interchange, and that's due to roadworks taking place along the Gidulis turn off. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Coming up
on the Clement Mashatile Show
on 702.
Clement Mashatile on your radio between 9 and 12. Today is not wearing a rugby jersey.
What am I wearing today?
hang
A
on.
plain, boring one.
Didn't you ask? So for context, yesterday you were speaking to not only the renowned musician and singer, but also fashionista.
Ntlantla, Mafu.
From?
Mafikizolo.
How did she rate your outfit?
So I said to her, Bongani thinks my outfit is terrible.
Not normally. It was in the context that she is coming. Because you are a snazzy dresser when you want to be.
And I thought yesterday I pulled it. So I
shame.
said to her, out of 10, what do you give me? And she was like, I don't want to embarrass you. And I think that was enough of an answer.
You look like you were going to Stephen Curtis's house for a braai. to
Next
watch
time
the
I go,
rugby.
I'll come in that outfit.
Stephen, you know I mean well. I come in peace.
So isn't it interesting being on YouTube? Like, you know, I've seen, like, I just saw a comment, like not now, yesterday, I think some listeners are like, when we walk in and we talk off air, they're like, what are you guys saying? We want to know what you're saying off air. And I'm thinking, trust me, you don't want to know. Just take what is being said on air and run with it.
I sometimes think even what we say on air is very,
It's
very
wild.
close to,
Can you imagine?
to the line.
Let's keep it on air. Coming up on the show today, on the 702 open line, we're going to do Gratitude Friday. What are you grateful for this week? We do this every single Friday. And then we're going to talk about the 30% tariffs that are kicking in today. And then at 10 o'clock, we're going to do the Across the Desk feature. Today, I am hosting sign language interpreters on our Across the Desk feature. We're going to find out more about the industry, about the work that they do as well.
Do you have the one from...
That fake one?
From the
No.
when Obama
was here. No. Oh my goodness. But I will ask them about that. Because sometimes, there are fake ones that have been there. But I also find it fascinating that sometimes they're caught in these moments where there's something funny being said and they have to do it. And sometimes they can't help but laugh themselves. Some of those funny moments. So we'll touch on that as well. And then we're going to wrap up the show at 11 o'clock with our relationship feature. And today we're talking about emotional flooding in relationships. So that psychological response where you feel emotionally overwhelmed during a conflict and you end up saying some really terrible things. How do we avoid that?
All right, can I tell you what we're going to do next?
Yeah?
We are going to tell you all about a bouzouki. Do you know what a bouzouki is?
What's that?
We're about to tell you.
Okay,
A
I'll
bouzouki.
listen. I'll watch.
All right, watch on YouTube. We'll tell you about a bouzouki.
Choose Checkers, SA's #1 value for money supermarket, and save on Lancewood cheddar or Gouda cheese, 900 grams for $139.99. E45 dermatological body cream, 500 grams for $229.99 each, and Parmalat Everfresh long life milk, 1 liter 6-pack, any 3 for 269 rand. Valid until this Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age, or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
Tabo's got 6 buckies running around fixing pipes, chasing invoices from Sentin to Soweto. They don't rest. But when one gets messed up in traffic, that's not a scratch, my guy. No bucky, no money. But with Budget's affordable business insurance, Tabo's fleet is sorted. So when expensive days happen, his hustle keeps rolling. Visit budgetinsurance.co.za for a business insurance quote today. Budget is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
almost want to hear the sound of plates breaking, right? And as of course, it picks up pace. You know that song from Zorba the Greek. Now, I told you we're talking about bouzoukis today, which is a traditional Greek stringed instrument, and it belongs to the lute family. It's known for a particularly distinctive sound, and of course, it carries significance historically, particularly for the Greek community. If you have no idea what it is and you can't get to Google, it's got a round wooden body and these long fretted, at least a long fretted fingerboard, right? It's got metal strings, typically arranged in 3 or 4 double courses. Now, why are we talking about all of this? Because in the studio, we have Pano, who is a 15-year-old bouzouki sensation who is taking the continent by storm. He's a musical prodigy who's been making the waves since he was just 12 years old, when he was invited to perform at a prestigious archaeological museum in Paris, in Patra, Greece, beg your pardon, not Paris, in Patra, Greece. And he joins us here in studio with his mentor, Costa Nicolaou. Welcome, both of you, to 702 Breakfast.
Thank you.
Pano, what made you take up this instrument?
The first time I touched the bouzouki was at my school, Saheti School. I'm a proud Sahetian. And
Because, of course, you are of Greek heritage,
yes,
right?
Yeah, correct. So I went to the music rooms and I went to the one with the bouzouki.
Just going to need you to come a little closer before you play, just so you can talk into the mic, yeah?
And I asked the bouzouki teacher, can you please play me something on the bouzouki? He did. Then he gave me the bouzouki and I strummed the strings a bit. And from then on, I just fell in love with the instrument. It was meant to be.
So, I mean, is it an easy instrument to learn? It's one thing to love it and to like the sound that comes from it, but was it easy for you to learn?
There's obviously going to be challenges when trying to learn something new. Like the bouzouki, at first it's very difficult, especially when you're starting to press on the strings. For the younger people, normally it sometimes hurts their fingers pressing on the strings.
Ah, okay.
So, and it takes time to develop the skills. Like yesterday, I calculated roughly how many hours I've been playing bouzouki to learn it, and I'm still not finished learning it, but I'm getting there. And it was somewhere around 2,500 to 3,000 hours that I've been playing bouzouki.
Gosh, Malcolm Gladwell says you need 10,000 to become a complete expert. All right, so you're going to be appearing at the Greek Festival at Monte Casino, or you have at least.
Yeah.
And that was a particular highlight.
It was unbelievable. Seeing everyone enjoy the bouzouki, from obviously the Greeks to the young kids and people of many different cultures. It was something really special to me.
So we're live streaming right now on YouTube. So if anybody wants to watch Pano, you can tune into our YouTube channel. Can you play us just a little something as we sign off? What's this song called?
Zebekikotis Evdokias.
It sounds like it's got influences from other music traditions, right? I'm hearing something Middle Eastern as well.
Yes.
Yeah? Costa, I've got to bring you in. But I'm just going to ask you to play a little more softly. You are the mentor, right? What made you believe in, firstly, I suppose, the instrument and Pano's ability?
Well, Bongani, thanks for having me on the show. Well, you know, being a bouzouki is a cultural instrument. So in order for, as generations change, you know, the music's developed as well into a more popular genre, excluding these instruments. So when I saw Pano and I looked at him and I thought, this kid is really, the love for the instrument which is makes obviously, and to continue the culture. So I thought this kid has got a lot of potential, and his ability, and he picks up things quick. He understands the instrument, which is rare for a youngster this age. Everybody wants to be a rock and roll star, guitars but they leave this instrument behind.
I think it speaks to the richness of our diversity as a country, that we have so many people from so many different backgrounds. And of course, the Greek heritage is very much a part of South Africa. Pano, you were recently rewarded with a spot at the esteemed gala for the South African Guild of Speech and Drama. You became the first instrumentalist to receive a perfect score in the festival's history, outshining nearly 2,000 participants from 40 different Gauteng schools. How did that make you feel?
It was incredible, and I must say, to get that perfect score for me, it was very motivating, and it was humbling because I prepared a lot for this festival. Many hours went into it, and to see how the work paid off really motivated me, and it made me happy.
Pano Kulubis, you are a star. Thank you so much for coming in and introducing us to this aspect of Greek culture and music and this fantastic instrument. And of course, Costa Nicolaou, mentor, coming alongside as well.
Thank you, Bongani.
Thank you, Bongani.
Thank you.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
Isn't that a great way to end the show on a Friday? Hope you have yourselves a fantastic weekend. We'll see you bright and early on Monday morning. It's 9 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Professor Firoz Kachalia is set to be sworn in as an acting Minister of Police. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Professor Firoz Kachalia is set to be sworn in as an acting Minister of Police today. Kachalia will be replacing Senzo Mchunu, who has been placed on indefinite leave following corruption allegations made against him. President Cyril Ramaphosa will facilitate the swearing